For a guy on the go like me, audiobooks are the thing. So today, the recommendation for audiobook of the week. Well, not really, since this is the first one. But I want to recommend Dungeon Crawler Carl from Soundbooth Studio. Not just an audiobook, but a whole experience. At least that's what they claim. So, get the gist of this. Dude's just chilling out, having a cigarette, cracks the window. Girlfriend pretty much went to the Bahamas without him. Probably fucked her old ex-boyfriend. So, he just breaks up like the Chad he is, and's planning to get the hell out or throw her out. But something unexpected happens. The cat, the prize cat, jumps out the window, and he chases after her in his boxers and a leather jacket. No shoes, some crappy Crocs left by the girlfriend, and he's out the door in the freezing cold in Seattle. So he's out there coaxing down the cat from the tree that it's stuck at. Soon some old lady screams at him, and before you know it, her head goes flat.
Achievement! Insurgent. You left an explosive device along a well-traveled path, and it detonated and killed an intended target. It really was cool. Too bad you didn't get to see it, because you're a trap-leaving bitch!
Hey, I said, waving the fat hand. If any of Jaggy's family or friends are watching this, you can go fuck yourselves. Here, I said, handing off a missile launcher to a funeral bell guard. The creature smelled like dirt. Donut had named him Dr. L for some inexplicable reason. She'd gone through and named the officers and sergeants and would have spent the next hour naming all of them if I hadn't intervened.
So we get into Dungeon Crawler Carl. Stupid name, I must say, but it's got some game. So, not quite an isekai, but it's got some vibes. Dude is cold, almost frostbite, so he goes down the stairs with the freaking cat. Gets pulled into some elaborate game by some fish-like crap. So, go along, you got the D&D thing going on, and soon enough, he comes to a trap. Goblin Dozer comes after his ass, and soon he runs away, and that's a wrap. No, he survives and jumps into the door. So, he gets some training, and the cat becomes extremely annoying. Sort of like the hitchhiker in the galaxy to the premise, strange aliens come along and just put a lot of humans in this death battle game. Not quite sure how to go on without spoiling too much, but for a guy like me, audiobooks are a must. I could run, go to the gym, do some chores around the house. And if you're tired of the media out there, it's definitely a must. You got this badass dude dressed like a fool, and suddenly the cat has a voice too. She bitches him out because somehow she's powered up. Some scary stuff until they start leveling up. So they play the game for a bit, go along with the flow, come across this old lady with cockroaches coming out of her hole. Did I forget to mention there's an AI too? Somehow it suddenly gets a fetish for Carl too. Foots ain't my thing, and neither is it the man's, but the AI seems to love Carl's foot just going slam. Now I know this might not be your thing, but I don't want to spoil all the surprise. Let me just let you know, in book 4, Critical Drinker arrives. Got a bit part, other characters too. It's amazing how far and what they do. Got the absurdist comedy with strong characters too. It's only the crazy, absurd story that might lose you. Solid characters, even if some annoy. At one point, there's even the head of a sex dog trying to kill you. It's got heart, it's got soul. Probably the only thing it's lacking is a brain. It might be weird as hell, but it sure beats a lot of shit out there. God damn it, Donut is Carl's catchphrase. Gotta go on shows in between death raids. The whole thing is rather hard to describe without spoiling the surprise. Now there's goblins and bugs, and a fuck ton of orcs too. Even have a ball of swine trying to fucking crush you. Carl tries to make his way to the stairs every couple days when the floor collapses. Not quite sure if the man will last. His sanity's going.
This is just not acceptable, Carl. I like my butterfly charm. It makes it so fairies like me, and it is pretty. It's part of my fit. I don't want to take it off. I don't see why I can't just wear 2 charms at the same time. Stupid Angel the Cocker Spaniel had like 4 or 5 tags. Fuck me. Stupid Angel the Cocker Spaniel had like 4 or 5 tags on her collar. She jingled like a bunch of rusty cowbells being dumped down the stairs wherever she walked.
This cat's a bitch. But if you can stand her, she can be amusing. Show cat diva posed to Carl's working man vibe. There's a complement of characters. There's even danger, and an old man peeing in the halls that almost killed a whole retirement home. You got PvE and a little bit of PvP. And it has a crazy cast of characters that have grown on me. Now, Dungeon Crawler Carl might not be the audiobook for you, but it's better than most of the Hugo awarded ones. That crap confuses the hell out of me. I'll take some sloppy fun. Wish I could share more crappy graphics that I found online. All I can provide. Let's see what I can do with the visuals this time. Trying something new and seeing if it works. Trying to be positive about the crappy shit that's out there. Now, ain't right-wing propaganda, but it's got a little bit of woke. Runs in the middle of the path where the common people work. It's got twists and turns, an identity of its own, and Sound Boost Theater gives it a sound of its own. If you got an Audible, give it a try. So much crap out there, I wanted to give some suggestion back. No, not many people are gonna look at this. A trend hopping, this is only good for so far. Try new things, experimenting is what I strive for.
Yep, that's what we're gonna do today, people. On Vin Radio, giving the best of Outer Worlds nonsense in the internet. So today I thought I would actually go over the response I got for my very satirical My Hero Academia on pro-America propaganda. I thought just the nonsensical title would be enough for people to realize that this is satire. I even put it in the description. Despite that, Smug Boy of the Smudcast decided it was worth critiquing. Because, yeah, if you don't understand the genre, how can you critique something? Let me just... Since I'm a recipient of this, funny enough, I'm just going to let most of it play, and I might pause it for commentary while I play actual game. Then we get into a little bit of Birdie stuff I want to go over, because there's some interesting angles out there.
Everyone. Welcome to Smudcast number 721. Is My Hero Academia
on pro-American propaganda. Yes, that should have fucking been a tall tale.
Did I copy that right?
No.
It might be a figure of speech.
No, it's not a figure of speech, you dumbasses. It is literally so you don't take it fucking... Never mind. All right,
so
how obvious can I take it?
My Hero Academia is a shonen anime.
Yes, it is.
Very popular.
And a lot of people
powers, wants to be a superhero, he gains powers, but the power he uses hurts himself, so he has to buff up.
Oh yes, they need to actually go over what it actually is. So my really distorted fucking satirical take ain't gonna blow their minds.
And I guess that would be the American propaganda element.
Oh
Maybe
God! Seeing them take this seriously is funny.
In that sense, and especially since.
Oh God! It's not, I wasn't being
Metro
serious.
Man is a
oh God!
or at least the.
Do
Yeah,
they not
it's not
pre-watch?
something
Do they not pre-watch these things to come to a judge? Probably not. Look how short it is. Okay, they're also probably preambling. This is a esteemed member of a former member of EFAP who definitely had a falling out over Synthetic Man, which I almost can't blame him for, but sheesh. There is someone who actually comes to me. Comes to my channel and comments sometimes.
with this
But
added
that's when I
sense
stream
of
later.
responsibility. I want to help people. I want to prevent them from dying as a hero.
Oh,
And all
God.
the
Such
silly heroism.
silly
tropes that go along with
heroism.
that,
Yeah.
along with the military academy setting, which is just everywhere.
Military academy setting, a dumbed down version of it, maybe. The high school vacation of that in anime, maybe. And they spend so much time.
Vincent Martin from 5 years ago. Okay,
Yeah,
and
5 years ago.
As hashtags, we've got funny, feminism, and comic gate, as opposed to comics gate.
Did they totally
So,
miss the fucking
And feminism, wait, do I need to hashtag for feminism? But main the funny, yes, of how certain people. I don't know what's up with this guy's grammar, but it's not very good.
It's not very good because I am fucking with people with this video. It's hilarious.
So is the point not a straw man, but a hypothetical point that would be a logical conclusion that leftists would get to in order to criticize this? Is that what he's trying to do?
Well, if
No.
he's saying it's a parody or a joke, then
Yes.
it can go either way. I don't know what to
Yes.
expect here, but
Oh God.
he could be parodying, the reactions to
Yes.
kids shows in the
Oh,
West
God.
that people don't understand.
Is it that hard to understand? If you say it directly, it's not quite as funny. Okay. If you have to explain a joke, it sort of ruins it. That's just.
Propaganda that I'm not sure of. For all appearances,
Oh God.
it is.
My audio
It
quality
promotes
was.
an American theme hero as the greatest in Japan. Just like the atom bomb. Oh, is that going too far? I don't know, but given the
Oh,
fact
God.
he is the pillar for the heroic community and hero
Very high
opera,
energy.
it is
Yes.
undeniable that American value plays a factor in the given series. Given the title question, I
Oh
pose,
God.
Mike,
or
louder
maybe
music,
worse.
quieter.
Besides the
Yeah,
writer of the manga
audio
being a
balance
fan
sucked
of
back then,
several
5 years
popular
ago.
Japanese series
The
such as
audio
One Piece
balance
and
of this
Naruto,
probably ain't that great either.
also likes American comics.
Oh, I was
being
so
the cited
stilted back
example
then.
in the
I
wiki
still
I
ain't the
read.
best now.
I have to wonder, since All Might is such a parent blonde white male, how he sees American.
All the
superheroes.
buzzwords.
Even worse than the pro-American propaganda, could
Why?
My Hero Academia be pro-Comicsgate?
It's
Crazy
ridiculous.
question aside, you have the Nazi-ass top dog hero All Might with his blonde hair and blue eyes. The story
Yeah, I
is-
can. So I can see that how this is supposed to be parody,
Yes,
but
thank you.
he's not delivering it well.
No,
Oh.
this is very serious.
What?
It's very easy to catch on.
I'm not
He has
delivering
a
it
headache.
well.
He's trying to read his lines.
Yeah.
I think he's also
Yeah, like
trying a
3
Plinkett
strokes
impression.
in the past minute.
I think it's
Why?
a Plinkett impression.
Oh no.
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 It's something slightly different, boys.
A weak Plinkett
I think
impression.
he's just he's bored. He's like, oh, I gotta talk about My Hero Academia stuff. There we go.
What?
Renegade Cat?
No, that would be completely emotionless. That would be like, I am Renegade Cut. I want to talk about
Oh, they want to shit on
socialism when I
fucking
was in Qatar.
red
or
letter
whatever.
media.
never
Not
trust
a
the
really
cops.
big influence on me.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
would say
guys.
he runs on 0.2 Plinkets.
Smart Boy is the one who fucking imitated fucking
Okay.
Plinkett.
Let's
I
go with
don't
that. That's
really
enough.
fucking I don't really parry. I don't have really a source. I just went with, here's a crazy idea. Let me just ham it up. Blah, blah, blah. Let me make it as ridiculous, over the top. Talking points. Craptastic. Okay. Yeah, it was really rough.
And does many superhero tropes right, which, in my opinion, supports the Comic Gates conspiracy.
I am just making shit up.
There's not enough misogyny in his
Yeah.
voice to be a Plinkett, bro.
Okay. Yeah. Really.
Must be a dog whistle
I-
reality. Where are the minorities in Hiroaka?
See?
Where are the bland,
Okay, so they sort of got it.
blatantly evil villains in Hiroaka, who should just be conveniently placed in the fiendishly evil column of the checklist, but alas, they're not. Similar.
What is happening? I don't know what I think he's losing the comedy on me. I'm just like, what is he talking about?
There was a comedy here?
I think he's playing
Yes,
for too
I'm
long
throwing
because
out all the buzzwords.
This way,
Okay.
people's brains are just shutting down.
Ah, good,
Yeah, this
good.
is too
Go
much.
away.
He's throwing all these images. Those were characters from One Punch Man, I think, and
Oh God, this is
he was showing
painful.
Naruto in the background. I was like, what is
See,
the
you
point?
do not fucking.
I don't think
do
it works when you do this on volume.
I don't think fucking this is really
At
a
least not
video
for
to
6 minutes.
do a response
Answer
to.
A believable and
Really?
sympathetic background story. How can the villains of Hiroaka give the baddies of the series such sympathetic overtones and backstories? I don't know. And why are the heroes in the stories so full of flaws?
I think I know a solution for this video.
Good, good. Just turn it off. Go away.
Let's see.
This isn't genius.
Anime produced by that typhoon, tsunami.
Yes, they are
Still
such
going.
great.
I
It's
think
still
falling
going.
apart.
Stop watching it then, dude. God.
All right, that was a video.
Oh, that was a great video. Thank
Wow.
you, guys.
Wonderful. We were very amused.
Someone trolled you motherfuckers, and you still go on for how much longer?
Yeah, that was so exciting.
Thanks, Matthias.
Yeah.
Who suggested that?
Who suggested this? This thing was absolutely
It
ridiculous.
has to be Matthias. Only Brazilians saw this. Though.
Yeah, but who voted for it? Like, you guys voted for this thing. This is
They
horrible.
voted
Not
for it?
only based on the title, and the title is funny.
The
you
title is
guys watch it?
ridiculous.
Funny nonsense.
For more than a minute, just to, you know.
I don't.
Uh,
People who vote on
Yeah,
this,
I'm
they
gonna
vote by
find
the
this
title.
fucker.
Not,
This
nobody
is why
watches-
you fuck it.
Nobody watches these things. It's all going by the title.
Okay, well, that was
Yes.
an attempt. I'll give him the attempt. He put a lot of editing into that. He was moving those images around the screen when video was in the background, so at least you had something to look at. But the comedy of spoofing whatever he was talking about just did not hit anything for me.
Oh, for
So-
him. You gotta love standpoint theory. Okay, so they legitimately. I haven't actually watched this through. Yeah. They. How do you take a parody serious? Okay, they trolled him. Okay, good for them. Okay. Now let's get into the serious stuff. Not really. The Birdie cult. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna skip through Harley's
Invest
little
money
thing.
back into these videos. I
Okay.
tend to buy a camera for videos in the next few weeks.
Plug,
So,
plug,
if you
plug. Let
subscribe
me get
and
this
donate,
better.
You'll help me get there. That'll be appreciated. With that being said, though,
Yes, appreciate it. This is Hurley early on, I guess. Hurley. Sheesh. So, the Birdie thing. I want to look more into this because there's several things that came up very
on the platform of
recently.
Discord,
Very recently, that's making me want to figure all this fucking dice. Did it just die down? There's talk of UTTP recently, which supposedly has become a big talking point for people like Parlo in the last year or so. The resurgence, I keep looking into them and like they're dead, they're not dead, they're being held, their new generation, the UTTP, the next generation and crap. But I'm wondering really, because of the mention of these sort of cult-like places, these cults, what's going on with them? So let's start with Hurley's TPS. Hurley TPS. Yes, Harley TPS. Dice cult thing.
Where the server owners actively promote their users to post self-harm images despite the owner being attracted to that, and also they have a few set guidelines that you can see to get into this cult, which we can find online. One of those being that they promote the fake regression and child abuse within their server by saying that there's a separate section for people that are underage or regressing. And while I do definitely believe that there are people that age regress normally, obviously that's a thing that happens.
But is it a healthy thing to age regress? There's like unbirthing. There's a certain limit. Is it healthy? I think doodle tones with the diaper fetish is part of that sort of shtick of that. Okay. Yeah. Oh God. Saying age regression happens to people of trauma. Okay. Do you encourage that? Not really, in my opinion, but.
Especially from trauma, and I'm not shaming anyone for doing that. This section could very easily be taken advantage of by predators pretending to age regress to get in contact with minors and talk to them in ways that they should not. Yeah. And also, the owner of this platform promotes self-harm. While they say that it's not a cult, it's just a family, which is a very well-known method of people getting tricked into joining cults. And while they furthermore say that it's not intended to be a cult, it very much is. It fits all the definitions. There's a video I'll link below that goes through that. But basically, this is a cult, cut and dry. And also, they promote self-harm. The owner of this cult is a...
Or it's a scam. Okay, I've heard this... Maybe I'm thinking about the sorry, I am confusing the Spawn Roblox thing. Yeah, I'm confusing the two. Let me hear Harley.
Huge fan of self-harm, actually, to the point where they say that it turns them on. And when someone told them that they were self-harming for the cult leader called it cute.
Also, another reason I want to look over this is I've been trying to figure out why Kumo was so obsessed with Birdie, with the whole Cindy Bear and Birdie crap. This is the best reason, because anyone who doesn't know, Kumo got into this sort of drama with a girl who joked and maybe was trying to groom Kumo into this little self-harming, cultish-like group, and he got into some drama over that. I've been sort of mulling that out. So far, I don't see any connection, but given how he wanted to go after Birdie so badly that he fucking did some weird stuff with the Sydney Bear 03 drama, it just makes me wonder.
And well, they say that they don't endorse this behavior. They very clearly do. Looking at these posts that I'm showing on screen, you'll see how they're endorsing this behavior. They're saying that they're not against it, they're saying that they allow it, and they're saying that they're attracted to it. This is very clearly what this server owner is using to put these people in a dynamic where they have to listen to all the moderators, otherwise they can be banned, and that they should post self-harm images to this server, which are then obviously being used as probably masturbation material by the server owner, which is fucking despicable. It's despicable.
Why would the masturbation material? Why do people think the self-harm stuff is inherently sexual? Okay. Do they not understand the psychology of psychopaths who actually do this? Yes, they get off on this. Do they actually... Oh, God. I'm speaking too soon. Just the way that these people make all of this stuff sexual and assume it's sexual. It's power dynamics, okay? Yeah, it's just weird how they have to insert the sexual message in all the time with something that's just about, yeah, I get a kick out of power tripping. It's not necessarily sexual, but it could be.
To use kids in a way to sexually please yourself. But more than anything, the problems with this cult are mainly how it's presented. This cult is presented as a family and a safe space for young people or people struggling, obviously struggling as they're self-harming when they're joining this cult. If self-harming kids are joining this platform that's being promoted as a family and a safe space, they could very easily be taken advantage of by the people in this cult in various different ways. And given the co-owner of this cult has posted CP before, according to another video on this situation, this cult...
Okay, I have a question. How old is the server owner? Okay, are they a kid themselves? I mean, that's a very good question that I hope he addresses.
It's not a safe space for minors.
Yeah.
And very clearly
sound that way.
going to get them manipulated in some kind of way.
Very
into
possibly.
Various different things they don't want to do, as can be seen by some people that were in the cult that have discussed this. Now I'd like to focus on the owner, Necrophilic, and all of their recent behavior. This is the main owner and the one that is the primary target of this video, as they are one of the biggest problems here. They're called Mortis, and I'll be referring to them as both of the names throughout this whole section. Mortis is a zoophile who, on their own record, has done the bad with one of their pets, and also is a necrophiliac, with the belief that nothing's wrong with sleeping with dead animals, and also that they've apparently done it as well, which, again, absolutely fucking despicable. The belief that it's okay to in any way involve yourself sexually with an animal that can't consent.
Yes, it's disgusting. How old is this person? What about this? Stop moral grandstanding. Give us the details about this guy. Okay, or girl, or they, them.
Is a terrible mindset and absolutely reprehensible. Holy fucking shit, the fact that I have to state that in a video makes me feel so depressed at the state.
Yeah, stop going on and on about it then.
Would not
You're choosing to do
all
that.
of the problems that I see here. From attraction to self-harm, to harassing people, especially the persons that called them out, for example, where they mocked a trans person, that they dead named them, and a bunch of that shit, which is despicable on its own, but also the fact that they've doxed other people, and used to have an IP grabber in the card that you would go to try and join the cult, which is a terrifying situation. I worry the amount of control they have in this cult. They could claim that they have people's personal information, and that if that person speaks out, they would dox them, or do a various multitude of different things, and also the way they present themselves and target young, impressionable kids that are already struggling with their mental health is threatening in itself. They could very clearly promote more self-harm to these kids that are already struggling and make them believe that self-harm is an okay and logical solution to deal with your struggles, which it isn't. If you're self-harming, you should be speaking to a therapist. That should be your main goal.
Yes. Do people need to be told all this stuff?
That cycle will
people
only
talking you into self-harm,
drive you into a deeper rabbit hole, as morbid as that sounds.
Using doxing, like how much time do you need to pull out of this video? Oh, sorry, moral grandstanding of the world. Okay. I'll go on. Okay.
You are struggling with self-harm. This is an important message.
Yes, it is.
If you are struggling with self-harm and mental health, all of that shit, you should speak to a therapist. But now let's get into Birdie, everybody's not favorite YouTuber who's been called out in the past for various different things, from apparently drawing CP to their terrible behavior in general, which there are multiple videos on. This video isn't one of those, but I feel it's important to clarify this at the start because it'll explain how Birdie is outcasted from the community and as such has ended up in this cult trying to find people that are like-minded to their despicable behavior. Now,
yeah, that is what happens when you sort of get driven away. You go to people who will give you attention. No shit, Sherlock. I'm sorry, just so much obvious here. Okay, it's not I'm against it. It's just like, why are you padding it out? Just get to the point.
Mortis was the equivalent of a stalker fan to Birdie, drawing literal sexualized art between them and Birdie, which should constitute sexual harassment if Birdie was to try and take problem with that. But obviously this wasn't something new for Mortis, as they've also done it with their exes, which is absolutely gross. But this apparently wasn't actually how Mortis ended up getting in contact with Birdie, as it seems that another member in this cult ended up reaching out to Birdie, and when Birdie made contact with them, they ended up convincing Birdie to join the cult, which has then led to the...
Hold on. Okay. Okay, this
It
is the
seems
person.
that another member in this cult ended up reaching out to Birdie, and when Birdie made contact with them, they ended up
Sophia, 16, I'm a girl, just a she, her, I'm cis, straight, so sorry. So this is before they identified as Jack and he, they, I guess, or he, him, I don't even know. Okay, yeah, personality trait is blood, oh god.
convincing Birdie to join the cult, which has then led to the predicament we're in right now. Birdie has a platform of almost 100,000 subscribers, of which a lot of these people could very easily be impressioned into copying Birdie's actions and ending up in similar predicaments.
Okay, how did she steer the she, her, now he, him, I guess, he, they, whatever, to this? That's the important part here.
Like this cult. Birdie is only 16 and obviously isn't in a very good place mentally given the things I've previously mentioned that they were called out for, and as such it's very clear that Birdie is obviously being manipulated into joining this cult and this very toxic environment. And if this could happen to Birdie, it could very easily happen to their audience that already follows Birdie and will copy their footsteps. Say for example Birdie was to promote this cult in some kind of way, their audience of probably similar...
Did they not even promote this cult at all? I'm just finding this weird. Why the focus is on Birdie here? It's good to know if she's fallen into a cult. If she has friends, they should try to encourage her to get the fuck out of the cult, but...
aged people that already follow Birdie despite their despicable actions could end up thinking that this sort of thing is normal or acceptable and end up joining this cult or a different cult similar and end up in another predicament like this one where they're being taken advantage of by adults and being manipulated into doing sexual, self-harm related things which would put their safety at jeopardy. This cult does not care about looking after the people involved in it, and it wouldn't care about looking after the impressionable fans from Birdie that could end up becoming victims to this cult. They'll believe that they're going to be well treated and helped by the family following their idol Birdie because they trust Birdie, as most people put a lot of trust in their favorite content creators. I know that a lot of people have a lot of trust in what I say, which is why I'm very careful about what I say and script all my videos ahead of time, and Birdie has that similar trust. A lot of their audience will, by default, just put trust in them and copy them and believe that their decisions are the right decisions and believe that they can do no wrong. And they could see this helpful family and think, well,
okay, I have to mention the gameplay here. What the fuck is with the gameplay? The meta commentary of this is just like off the chart. The ominous. What has actually happened? Is this a place of cult? Yes, it sounds very bad from the way he's describing, but he's not putting much into it. The owner, Birdie, just jumping point to point. And yeah, if she did promote this to her audience, assuming her audience wasn't already into this sort of stuff, I don't know.
well, I would like a community like that I can feel safe in, and end up in this community that actively dead names people knowing that they're trans because they find it funny, and also
the dead name is the least important thing here. Why focus on that so much? The doxing, yes. The self-harm. The possible sexual ramification of this stuff. But the rest, I don't even know.
it manipulates them into getting self-harm images off of them so that they can use them as jack-off material. Basically, TLDR, this cult is a terrible place for any child, or any adult for that matter. This cult is not a safe place to be in, it's not a safe place for this mind rundown now. This cult is dangerous for a multitude of reasons, from the potential possession of CP between the members and sharing, according to some sources, to the zoophilia and promotion of that within this community, which could lead to more animals being harmed in various different ways, to the promotion of self-harm within this server, and the acceptance of people that are fake age regressing, getting involved with minors and taking advantage of them in various different ways to cause more harm and jeopardy to their safety. Also, Birdie's membership to this cult could have a huge impact on their audience, which could lead to their audience thinking that this environment is safe or acceptable, and end up getting themselves in a predicament where they are taken advantage of by a lot of adults that are trying to use them for jack-off material, or for self-harm images, or for a multitude of different things, from taking advantage of minors and warping their mind into believing that this cult environment is safe, and basically praising this adult because they're clearly targeting people that are mentally unwell and using them for that to try and convince them that they'll be happy if they're in a situation where they're literally praying to you, basically. And the track record of this cult and many other
Does he have nothing else? No other evidence? Just cult. All this stuff could be happening. God, such a waste of time.
To continue starving themselves or going through that traumatic cycle, and so everyone in that community seems to believe that it's the okay or right thing to do. They basically get manipulated into believing that hurting themselves is the solution instead of getting help for it, and ends up causing the problem to be.
Does he even prove this? It's not that he's probably wrong. Oh, sorry. They, them. I forgot my pronouns. They, them. Harley's a they, them. Forgive me for that, okay?
Be worse than before. There's a reason communities like these should never exist, because they promote an unhealthy mindset that ends up hurting everyone involved with them. But if you'd like more information on this whole situation...
Okay, I'm gonna have to go down this rabbit hole myself. This is just like dribble. On to the main point. It's
Jack,
from
aka
someone
Birdie,
who
aka
actually... From someone who seems to actually present. I watched their one on Cinebear 03. It seemed to be very solidly put together. I mean, yeah, there's definitely a case of Cinebear 03 grooming people. That argument can be easily made, and it's even true. What led Cinebear to that behavior is, I think, something that Lord Crust here goes over. Let's see what I think. Not that what I think really matters very much.
669, aka Lucifer, aka CityBear03's ex-roommate, is a YouTube animator who has had a tumultuous career on the platform since February of 2018, with the year of 2024 being no different, as I will outline in this video. He's known for bangers such as I'm Back or My Roommate Groomed a 14-year-old, I Need Help, which are incidentally the two videos I will be discussing in this video, as they are relevant to what we care about. That being outlining how CityBear03, the self-admitted group, was not the only guilty party involved in that allegation. If you're interested in CityBear03's story...
Yeah, the only thing, the self-admitted groomer, using that as a point, like, was it grooming or was it not? Because were they convinced? What led them to this behavior? See, I'm not in commentary, so... I'm not technically commentary, so I'm not going to actually be concerned. Yeah, it's proven... This is most likely grooming, close enough that calling it grooming is fine enough. Fine. What led to this? Birdie? Let's see. Because his previous things about Cineo Bear just went over the ducks. Going his thoughts, and it was well done. But this one, the one who claimed the grooming, what does he have? Hopefully more than fucking Harley had on his little fucking video.
Well, feel free to go back and watch my video about it. However, it's not necessary for this video, as I will provide context when it's required. Anyway, without further ado, let's take a look at yet another example of what unrestricted internet access does to a motherfucker. And the next stepping stone in the Just a Robot saga. The YouTuber and camera Birdie.
I remember when I was 12 years old.
Oh shit, I'm gonna die because I'm stupid. Yeah.
And instead of being concerned or wondering if I was okay, everyone got mad at me for it, and it ended up being the first thing that canceled me in the public eye. Good times. You know I was groomed by Kitty Dog, right?
What starts a conversation like that?
Although Birdie themselves is not generally considered an art commentary community creator, or ACC creator for short, his...
Yeah, that much is obvious. Just art. Not really commentary.
Animations appear to be nestled into the same viewer base, subsequently having a multitude of mutual friends with CityBear03, both online and in real life. Well, for those of you who did not watch my last video, the art commentary community has a bit of an issue when it comes to degeneracy, with a basis in...
A bit? Oh god. Doesn't even get over the major players. I mean, I respect him for going over these bit players. Ponder, fucking Ponder, Sprock, and not... Sorry, Spoctor Tech, all of them. Just they pull each other into this stuff when this shit's been coming out recently, and it's fucking insane. Doodle Tones with her diaper fetish, which, god.
Deviant art, which is, as the name implies, mixed with a YouTube commentator whose audience primarily consists of children, you have a very unique powder keg. Despite the fact that their audience generally leans on the younger side of things, it's not uncommon for art commentary community creators to make crude depictions of darker or straight up immoral topics like gore, bestiality, rape, or self-harm. Combine these factors with a Discord community that allows for
Yes, and that's something I wanted to look into. I don't want to bury the lead and not give out too much information. There's another person in this whole saga. I'm wondering how they relate to this, if it'll come up here.
13-year-olds, and you get CineBear03, or more broadly, a grooming problem. Well, what about in regards to the topic of this video, Birdie? Well, it appears to me as if they're a victim of the unfortunately common grooming within the ACC, subsequently drawing people
does seem to be true.
12, which, as Birdie established, led to the first of many controversies. This claim was made in the aforementioned video, I'm Back, which is fucking 2 hours long. The video was released on April 15th, 2024, and answered the question of how Birdie and CineBear moved in together, as well as quite a few other questions I don't think anyone asked, but regardless.
So, you're probably a bit confused. Like, hey.
Yeah, there's many questions people had. Should have asked about this whole fucking circumstance. And I've went over some of this fucking videos that led up to this, but I haven't fully processed and sort of linked together how they sort of connect. Trying to correct the record and make a public record of it now. Let's figure out what's here. Being lazy with the content.
Why did I come back? And oh, Birdie trauma. That's a pretty weird thing that I've never talked about before. I'll get into all that juicy stuff in a bit, but first I'd like to properly introduce myself for the first time. Hi, my name is Jack, or Lucifer. My pronouns are he, it. I'm 19. I'm aroace and gay, ooh la la.
This is weird in comparison. This is the... No, he's back with this... The he, they... All this. You saw in the Harley video, they still identified, it seemed like, as she, her. So interesting sort of thing. I guess this video doesn't actually get into the prehistory, which is fine. I mean, it's long enough as it is, hour and a half.
My favorite colors are red, black, and yellow. I'm a demon kitty. I love rainbows,
yeah, maybe
and
he'll work
tacos, and
backward.
cats and randomness. I love scene and Decora K and emo, but that's pretty obvious, isn't it? I have evil autism. I love South Park, BoJack Horseman, Moral Oral, Doki Doki Literature Club, Miracle Musical, My Little Pony, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and other thingies. I have a kitty named
Why didn't Lord Cross just summarize this? God. I mean, he doesn't have to. People are still going to watch it, but he could have summarized this list of Birdie has. Maybe there's a reason he doesn't.
Squirp. So during the making of this video, we got another cat, and I named her Stupid.
Are you beginning to see what I mean by can of worms? Oh, also those cats that he introduced,
too much.
and Stupid. Well, they will be extraordinarily relevant later, so keep those little fellas in mind. This video was released after a nearly 3-year-long hiatus, which was caused by those aforementioned controversies, with the video being recorded after Birdie had moved in with CineBear. Regardless, he opens the video by advertising his Twitter and warning viewers to be wary of gore. Neat. Anyway, this shout out is followed by one of the most impressively long-winded trauma dumps I have ever witnessed. Seriously, it is at least 30 minutes long. Fuck, I mean, you could argue that the entire 2-hour-long video is just one long-winded trauma dump, but either way, Birdie prefaces the trauma dump with this.
If you are a member of my family watching this video, including my parents and grandparents, I kindly advise that you stop here. I do not wish to have you be part of my internet life because you have irreversibly hurt me, and I'm going to be straightforward and honest about the damage that you've done. You will be anonymous and safe from harm in my video. I ask you again, please stop watching. If you wanted to hear about the ways that you've abused me, you would have listened to me a long time ago, or reflected on your own actions. Okay, cool, bye, go away.
Yeah, I think that sets the bar pretty high right off rip. Before I inject any more of my personal bias, let's just begin sifting through the mega trauma dump, shall we? Starting off with all of Birdie's mental and physical issues, Birdie just kind of sprinkles these in like little Easter eggs throughout his 2-hour-long video, so for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to compile them all here before we get into the rest of it. Firstly, judging by his straw poll, Birdie has autism, ADHD, borderline personality disorder, and is on the schizophrenia spectrum. He additionally claims to have psychosis, however later clarifies this to be referring to the schizophrenia spectrum diagnosis.
I would like to clarify that I was diagnosed with psychosis in September of 2023, so this is just something that I live with. I mean, I was diagnosed when I was 14 too.
Psychosis? Is that a real diagnosis? Schizophrenia? They are probably just being very loose with their wording. Very weird, very weird.
But like, I was in denial about it for a long time, so like, I just got diagnosed again. At the moment, I'm unsure what disorder in particular I have because I had to stop seeing my psychiatrist because I moved to another state, which I'll elaborate on in a little bit. He initially diagnosed me with depression with psychotic features, but as I elaborated on my symptoms, he realized it was something more severe and that I'm most likely schizospec. So at the moment, I just call it psychosis for convenience.
Further in the video, Birdie states that they have depression and chronic anemia, which is actually not chronic anemia, but instead a undiagnosed heart condition. Yes, the health condition morphed mid-fucking video. The next condition Birdie claims having,
maybe they meant, there's a heart condition that sounds like, not academia, there's a heart condition where you have unsteady rhythms of the heart. I can't think of it off the terms, but yeah, it would be a heart condition.
Don't exactly know how to define based on Birdie's description. Birdie refers to it, or them I guess, as headmates.
I'm gonna be honest with all of you, I don't even know what Carol was. She wasn't an alter because she couldn't take control of my body, and she wasn't a tulpa or imaginary friend because she was not intentionally created. For simplicity, I will be calling her a headmate in this section. Similarly to the psychosis drama, this should have never been drama to begin with because it's weird to make a spectacle of a teen struggling with mental illness, and it absolutely made me worse. I wasn't attempting to like fake DID or anything. That was never my intention if it did come across that way. I don't have any active headmates at the moment.
Okay, this is really fucking weird. I'm seeing connections already. Didn't Spockter Tech have a DID sort of video that didn't go out badly? See, I look for connections. And I don't know if they're related. I'm just trying to relate it with the sort of mental illness. Because, yeah, social contagion. Can't really go back. Saying the art commentary community and the general just art community, which it seems like Birdie was more part of. I'm just wondering if there's any overlap with the sort of group hysteria that seems to be plaguing this community. God.
But I do have a history of them. Carol, Marilyn, Susie, Raro, Goofball, Payday, and even Edgy Jack were all sentient beings with their own thoughts and emotions who originated from my brain. I really wish I had a concise conclusion or answer for this, but I don't. When Carol first appeared when I was 14, I went all the way to fucking Seattle Children's Hospital to see a psychiatrist, only for him to brush me off for being autistic and tell me that I have a vivid imagination and that it was just the autism.
Is this really the case? Okay, just assuming that the doctor would just brush you off. I mean, maybe that's the case, but damn. People just believe in this wholesale. Yeah.
I have no interest in discrediting Birdie's claim conditions. There are plenty of better things to point out. That being said, however, I do have to...
Understandable, but... yeah, you have to question some things when they're just saying a doctor's just brushing you off. Okay. And maybe that's the case. Not a really good doctor, Blaze. Damn.
say, Birdie's description makes it sound like an X-Man superpower mutation or imaginary friends. He's never been diagnosed with anything in regards to it. In fact, the only professional he spoke to about it described it as autism mixed with an overactive imagination. According to Birdie, they aren't split personalities, it's not dissociative identity disorder, they are people that are sentient that are only in Birdie's head. I'm not tripping, right? Like,
yeah,
other than
very
the
weird.
sentience part, which I don't even know how to interpret. Birdie's just describing an imaginary friend. I mean, I guess they could be hallucinations, but then they would just be hallucinated friends, which still sounds like the same concept as imaginary friends, just less voluntary.
No, schizophrenia, you'll have symptoms of hearing voices, blah, blah, blah. What she laid out, I swear, everyone going into all this shit without any basic understanding of psychology is just really annoying. I mean, I understand why it looks on face value. Schizophrenia, you hear voices, and, you know, you add in the sort of psychosis, the schizophrenia. This is all really weird fucking psychology, okay.
Guess, but anyway. Oh, and also I wrote this big fuck off paragraph about what I believe to be the final of Birdie's health conditions that I'm yet to mention, or more specifically chronic fatigue.
Yeah.
But the video was already long as shit, so I'm not gonna read that. If you give a shit, you can. I thought it was at least worth addressing because I have seen people question Birdie's chronic fatigue diagnosis. However, in my opinion, there are far more dubious elements of Birdie's story, which I will establish later. First, though, I'm going to speedrun some of the allegations against Birdie from that aforementioned tumultuous career, because I don't exactly feel like litigating shit that happened when this person was a teenager, but I feel like I'd be foolish not to at least mention some of it. Oh, also, there is a hell of a lot more conjecture in this video when in comparison to the rest of my content, and that is because for most of this, we only have one side of the story with next to no evidence. However, I will...
Really? And you make a video like this in commentary and they didn't fucking roast you over the fucking fire for this? Ballsy, man. Ballsy. Okay. That's all I'm gonna say. I get shit for just using what I can find to sort of siphon through all the crap.
Clearly specify when something I'm saying is a conclusion or opinion based on limited information. Anyway, to begin the speedrun, here's Birdie talking about those aforementioned controversies from when he was a child and teenager.
So, I am notoriously known for not being good at interneting. Like, emotional outbursts, constant venting, oversharing personal information, things like that. The reason I joined the internet in the first place at 11 years old is because I wasn't loved at home, and I was being abused at school too. I had a warped view of the internet, only being a child, and I believed that all of my viewers would act as friends.
Well, yeah, that explains a lot. As I've already established, there is an admittedly dark likelihood that the root, or at least a factor for Birdie's erratic behavior, shall I say, is some of the stuff that I'm outlining in this segment from Birdie's developmental years. As I'll attempt to outline in this video, the issue is that Birdie uses this mistreatment as a justification for him to do immoral acts to others.
I've decided to come out here and talk about what happened today because the vast majority of the controversy surrounding me is false, and I believe a lot of you are simply misled or confused about the information. My therapist told me about a concept once that really stuck with me. It's called the curse of knowledge bias. She explained to me that although I know that Birdie drama consists of lies and exaggerations, and I know that my parents abused me, and I know that my ex-friends are lying about me and trying to publicize personal issues, and I know that I've been taken advantage of by everybody involved in this, nobody else knows, and I'm frustrated because you cannot see what's so obvious to me. Let me be clear, I still do not want anything to do with Birdie drama. I would not like this drama to be continuously dragged on going forward.
Yeah.
Is she really talking in drama related to me? Okay. Well, this would be synonymous with a dissociate disorder of some type. Not saying DID, just a sort of you disassociate from who you are personally. Outer body experiences are explained in this sort of shit.
Sorry about that, buddy. Also, did you catch that? I swear they need therapists who specialize in dealing with terminally online freaks, because I swear this is not the first time I've heard of a therapist gassing up their client to post something online because the
Yeah, take those claims with a grain of salt, dude. That's all I'll say.
internet just doesn't know the abuse they've endured. Yeah, I don't think I can wholly blame the therapist. If this video that I'm talking about is any indication, then Birdie likely wasn't providing the therapist with the most accurate, unbiased retelling of events, as I will display later.
That's probably correct,
anyway,
but therapists
Birdie
should
ended
be
up
able
elaborating
to
on that
navigate
first
through
controversy
that
with
sort
Kitty
of...
Dog.
If you aren't aware of
Not
who
that it's
Kitty
easy
Dog
for
is,
therapists.
which would be shocking if you weren't, she's this super duper popular animation memer who makes very sexual videos. I'm totally not surprised that this happened. And when I was 11 to 12 years old, she was basically my idol. I made a shit ton of videos about her, and she commented on them asking me to join Discord, and you can see where this is going. Anyways, this shouldn't have been drama in the first place.
Okay, we're getting into the first grooming allegation, I guess, from Birdie. Okay.
But Kitty Dog encouraged me to make drawings like those, and that's why they exist. I know.
Not very great. Son. It seems like the grooming, it's a cycle. This grooming shit is a cycle. This is another reason to go through this. Where did the grooming start? A lot of these people seem to have been groomed before. Like I know with Indo, there's a couple of cases of them being groomed before they were groomed by Cinny Bear. At least reportedly.
A few of you are probably going to say this as some sort of counter-argument, so I'd like to acknowledge it.
And just to be clear, rumor. There's really no proof of that. A lot of this is based off of speculation and rumor itself, so really hard to figure out all this crap here.
The age gap wasn't, like, huge. I was 12 and she was 14, but, like, let's not get caught up in the logistics of grooming. I am not...
Let's not get caught up in the logistics. If this person was grooming themselves and following the grooming behavior, that makes sense, okay? Without knowing about who this person is and what happened to them before. Maybe the video will go over this, but I have my doubts. It's hard to cover a topic like this, as Crest King said, when you only have one side of it.
Using the word, I can confidently say that this is what this was. Another thing to bring into consideration is that apparently Kitty Dog was also being groomed during this time period, but this still doesn't excuse her behavior. Especially when we consider COCSA to be a trauma response, which stands for Child on Child Sexual Abuse. And yes, sexual abuse can be accounted for under messaging like Kitty Dog did. I'm aware of the fact people are still going to defend Kitty Dog in this situation, but at least acknowledge the impact this had on me as a kid.
Well, isn't that just sickening? Yeah, so this community is so depraved that you end up with some kind of fucked up game of telephone where these minors end up regurgitating fringe adult concepts to each other that they either found online or from someone who realistically should have jail time. Likely someone who actually fulfills both those categories, to be honest. Anyway, the other person involved, Kitty Dog, is a YouTube creator with 600k subscribers accrued from her furry animation content. What's especially notable to us, however, is that in February of 2024, so a few months before Birdie released his I'm Back video, Kitty Dog released a document that outlined all of her wrongdoing as a teenager. Kitty Dog seemingly attempted to genuinely apologize for her actions, taking accountability and swearing to improve her behavior. Now, whether she actually followed through with this, I don't know. And it's very possible that I either don't or do end up addressing her in future content. What I do know, however, is that despite being 6 times Birdie's channel size, Kitty Dog is, as far as I'm concerned, a hell of a lot less controversial on the internet, with her document being received relatively positively.
There was a huge power dynamic. Kitty Dog was aware of the power she had over me, being a massive creator that I looked up to, and I was not old enough to consent to these things. I was 12.
Yeah, do you know who else wasn't able to consent, Birdie? Despite being 2 years older, Kitty Dog wasn't able to consent. Additionally, I do not think a 500k subscriber difference, or whatever it was at the time, creates a power dynamic. It's not like Birdie's channel or career was directly tied to Kitty Dog's, and it's not like Kitty Dog was employing Birdie. From what I can tell, the significant difference between how Birdie and Kitty Dog responded to relatively similar allegations is what dictates their broadly differing public reception. Well, that and their pre-established reputations, of course. More specifically, both Birdie and Kitty Dog are victims of grooming. However, Kitty Dog acknowledged this and took fault for her actions in the doc.
Okay, thank you. So he went over it, but that's good enough. So she was groomed also. If I get pronouns wrong, fuck it. I don't care. This Kitty Dog person, groomed. Makes sense. They allegedly groomed, and I believe pulling them in. The intent doesn't matter. There's the grooming behavior. Birdie it's the questionable thing is Birdie, were they attracted because of what Kitty Dog talked about in their content? Did they talk about it? I'm going to have to follow up with this Kitty Dog person, but another time to look. It's always such a fucking rabbit hole with this shit. Let me just continue.
Birdie, in the months after, attempted to piggyback off of Kitty Dog's explanations, applying them to himself while simultaneously attempting to attach all of the fault to Kitty Dog, who, let me remind you, was a 14-year-old at the time.
Seems weird.
Both of these people are adults now. They could potentially be excused for their depraved actions as a child, but that does not allow them to continue the behavior or attempt to justify it as an adult, which Kitty Dog has seemingly not done while Birdie has. It's just an absurd double standard that Birdie is applying, and it's all seemingly with the justification that he was the youngest party involved by 2 years, which in my opinion is not a substantial enough age gap to reasonably apply that double standard. To be clear, by the way, judging by the evidence that Birdie presents, it does seem as if Kitty Dog at minimum encouraged Birdie to draw sexualized art when Birdie was very clearly uncomfortable with the idea, which is fucked. I don't know if I'd necessarily describe it as grooming, but it's definitely bad.
Yeah,
okay?
it's definitely fucked.
They're supposed to give Birdie so much leniency due to his various physical and mental conditions or traumatic past. Why does the same standard not apply to a 14-year-old Kitty Dog?
This led to the first time I got into big internet drama, and Kitty Dog completely threw me under the bus when this went down, despite encouraging me to draw art like this prior to it being publicized. She essentially made fun of me for being harassed while still pretending to be my friend.
What the fuck? Birdie is just acknowledging with a text edit on screen that what he's saying in the audio is fucking delusional, and he didn't think to edit it out. To be specific, in the audio, Birdie is very clearly stating that when allegations against him came out, Kitty Dog threw him under the bus and made fun of him. This, however, as Birdie's text edit acknowledges, is blatantly false because Kitty Dog never even addressed Birdie's allegations. Do you know what's even crazy though? This is far from the most absurd claim that Birdie makes in defense of him drawing art as a child.
I think the drama that resulted from this is pretty funny sometimes because the main argument that ranters use is that it was illegal for me to draw porn at 12
Funny?
years old. I'm sorry, but have you ever met a 12-year-old that hasn't drawn porn? If that
What?
were illegal, we'd live in some sort of dystopian society where anyone under the age of 18 would be locked up.
What the fuck are you talking about, you
agree.
deranged freak? I would be shocked and pretty concerned if I even met a 12-year-old who's drawn porn in my fucking lifespan. If that doesn't show you how...
Yeah, why does this community have a whole bunch of people doing fucking porn, okay? Has the internet become that fucking degenerate? Or is it just these fucking art communities that, like Rule 34, fucking DeviantArt, this just a giant rabbit hole pulling in just fucking artists into this fucking insane ass fucking scene? I'm just like amazed at this shit here.
Skewed this Birdie fellow's perspective of the world is, I don't know what will. He needs to have a, at minimum, 10-year-long internet detox or some shit. That's not even taking into account the relationship that Birdie had with a 13-year-old when he was 16.
I've decided to rewrite this section last minute because the situation I'm about to describe is more morally gray than I remembered it being and requires more nuance on my part in order to explain it. In 2021, I went through my breakup. This breakup alone put me into another psychotic state where I was essentially dissociating 24/7 and became unable to make proper judgment anymore. Exactly 5 days after said breakup, I was asked out by my former friend Draggy, who was 13. I was 16, and it was my responsibility as the older person to turn them down.
Yes.
But because of the mental state I was in, I was unable to make the right decision. They were entirely aware of the mental state I was in. I addressed my worries with us.
Really? They were aware. They were younger. Mental state, God, this just hurts my head. Oh, freaking hell.
Dating, but they insisted that they wanted to date me, so I agreed.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to accept that Birdie got manipulated by a 13-year-old when he was 16. While
little bit unbelievable.
That Kitty Dog is a horrible person for taking advantage of a 2-year age gap when Kitty Dog was 14 and Birdie was 12. I don't know if I've ever seen it before, but Birdie has managed to make a double standard. Anyway, this segment was supposed to be a speed run, so I'm going to move on to the next notable incident that Birdie mentions that I don't bring up later in this video. More specifically, I'm referring to an argument that was live streamed between Birdie and his mother about Birdie doxing himself as well as his family because he wanted to die or something. I don't know, it's fucking deranged.
There are 2 live stream clips from 2017 of me threatening
that way to
my
me.
dad, and another of my mom confronting me for giving out my address to somebody online. I'm not gonna play either of these clips because they were of me as a child being put in abusive situations and having an emotional response, so they're deeply triggering for me. But these clips are out there, and you can search for them if you want, I guess.
So, here's some 7-year-old footage of that. I'm only going to play a small amount of the 10 total minutes, but I can assure you that both parties involved, that being Birdie and his mother, maintain about the same demeanor the whole way through.
My mom is coming down here, hold on. Did you just give our address to Doge Dust? No. Did you give our address to anybody online? No. Tell me the truth. No.
This is a Chris Chan situation here, it seems like. God. Is Chris Chan just a virus spreading? The patient 0, okay.
Why? Could you go upstairs? No. I'm in the middle of something. Mom, go away. No, I want to know. Please. I'm disappointed. I'm in the middle of something. I want to know. I am... Did you give our address to somebody? Shut. Did you? There are people here. I need to know if you did that. I will tell you after this. No, okay. Not after now. Mom, just dance up there right now. There are people watching this. I need to know if you gave our address on the internet. Why did she? How did she?
Wow, isn't that crazy? Seems as if Birdie's description of his mother coming in and abusively screaming at him over the doxing incident is an extraordinarily inaccurate retelling of events, and I might even argue the opposite of what actually happened. Yes, his mother did indeed threaten to call the police. However, unlike Birdie, she wasn't screaming about it and came off as extraordinarily reasonable to me. As Birdie has already made clear, his parents are at minimum in their 40s and they prescribed QAnon, so I can't imagine they're the most technologically literate. As Birdie also made clear, however, they had been receiving harassment online with their full names and addresses being dropped by Birdie's.
Yeah, I don't know how older family members could know how to deal with this sort of bullshit here. All sensible things from Gruslord here.
Detractors. With that sort of equation, if you were Birdie's parents, who else would you go to other than the police if your son, who caused the fucking problem, is screaming at you and being uncooperative because he wants to do his really important task of drawing art on stream with his Discord buddies? One of those aforementioned Discord buddies was even attempting to tell Birdie to settle down and listen to his mother.
Listen to your mom. Listen to your mom.
I mean, for fuck's sake, Birdie's mom even gives Birdie the option to finish up what he was doing first and then come upstairs to talk to his parents about the issue. If my hypothetical future kid doxed me, I'm shutting that fucking stream down ASAP. Anyway, continuing on through Birdie's video, he proceeds to bring on his trans Latino friend in order to defend Birdie for his self-admitted transphobia and racism.
Because I wanted to help him word it in a way that made sense, because not only am I a trans person too, but I'm also, you know, Latino, so I feel like my word has a bit more holding than his, because he's a little cracker.
And then Birdie goes on to talk about his ferret.
This is a rumor I would especially like to disprove because my ferret Chara passed away in November of 2022, and I don't want my baby girl to be remembered that way. So there's this screenshot that my ex spread around of me saying I sexually abused my ferret. Of course, if this was true, that would be fucking deplorable, and holy shit, you'd have to send me to jail. Straight to jail. That would be it. You'd have to lock me up and throw away the key, guys. But? Wait, what do you mean but? There's a shit ton of context missing from this. Admittedly, I didn't mention this in the screenshot, but the reason—
Yeah, did you sexually molest your ferret? Okay, it's a yes or no question, for Christ's sake. God.
The reason this happened is because I was groomed into it when I was 13 years old.
How do you get groomed into sexually molesting a pet? I would like to know the logic behind that. I really would.
I don't have proof of this because I lost the DMs with my groomer, nor do I even want to find them. I don't even want to say his name because this was the most traumatic time that I was groomed. I've been groomed several times, obviously, but this was the worst, and I don't want to talk.
Here's the thing that I find interesting. All these grooming victims, it seems like once it gets to the level of the internet where they have to deal with it, it's happened several times. And I'm not going to say, don't get groomed. That would be smart. Go to someone and be like, I've been groomed. I don't want to be groomed again. How could I avoid getting groomed? I have a fairly large following. How do I do it? It seems like a smart thing to do for Birdie, for Zenny, for any of these sort of cases. That's all I want to point out.
About it for that long publicly. Another thing I'd like to point out, which is almost as important as the grooming context, is that right in the screenshot I said I didn't even go through with it. Like, it never even happened. I just prepared to do it because I was 13 and I was told to. This was extremely traumatic for me, which is why, despite the fact that these accusations were hurting me more than any of the ones before this, I didn't address it publicly. After this happened, I would cry every time I saw my ferret, and I had reoccurring nightmares about this. I was a victim in this situation, and so was Chara.
I think Crust King's gonna say what I'm thinking. You sexually molested your ferret, you're admitting to it. Your excuse is you were groomed into it, something you can't prove. Wow.
Okay, yeah. So here's that screenshot that he was referring to. And according to Urban Dictionary, Tina...
Thank you for the evidence. Okay, I warned you. I regret this awful. I genuinely have no fucking idea why I did that when I was 13. Sorry, I didn't use it. It's a he, okay. I can use a male voice. When I was 13, should use a younger one. I was being manipulated by Maddie. I had no fucking idea why, but when my Hamley left the house, I tried to make Chara do teen ants on me. I'm so fucking upset at 13-year-old me. I didn't even go through with it. I was so ashamed. I don't abuse animals. It was the one time I was like, I said I had no fucking idea why I did that. Why? I love Chara so much. I would never do that now that she's like a daughter to me. Poor girl. Okay, this is the screenshot. This just seems... Oh, God. Teen ants. Oh, God, I give up. It's oral sex. Okay. Trying to say that this was oral sex on a ferret. Okay, no words.
It refers to oral sex. So he attempted to fuck his ferret, Chara, in the mouth at age 13. However, claims he was groomed into it, yet doesn't have any evidence of this grooming. What there is evidence for, though, is other forms of animal abuse, such as Birdie swinging the ferret around, or Chara losing her color in her fur over the course of a year due to being underfed, which... Is anyone really surprised? Birdie can't even feed himself, although it does make me a bit questionable of why his parents didn't step in and do something about it. Especially considering these messages from Birdie in which he claims that Chara's cage got filled with maggots a few times. Speaking of Chara's cage, as far as I'm concerned, it was far too small. According to my research, aka roughly 3 Google searches, a ferret cage should ideally be a couple square feet in diameter as well as potentially multiple floors tall. This is a hamster cage, at best.
Yeah, I hear most people don't actually have the proper requirement. I know people, in fact, someone who's into having a hamster, and their hamster cage, because they want to be a responsible hamster owner, that word went weird on me for some reason, and they have like something that's as big as a fish bowl with like a fucking bed lining, a whole bunch of shit. That's small for a hamster. If the ferret cage, oh God, I swear, parents shouldn't let children take care of animals if they're not ready for the responsibility. That's just flat out animal cruelty, I think, or neglection. I don't fucking know.
This was the point that ferrets are not supposed to be kept as pets alone. They are generally kept in pairs, as ferrets are supposedly a very sociable animal. I mean, other than sexually or physically abusing the ferret, I can't really...
Hamsters aren't. Hamsters are supposed to be kept alone. That same person, yeah. They have 2 fucking huge-ass tanks for individual hamsters.
Blame 13-year-old Birdie for underfeeding the ferret, not getting a second one, or giving it too small of a cage. That does seem more like negligence on behalf of Birdie's parents, although it could be explained, not necessarily justified, by ignorance. I mean, I personally had no idea how to raise a ferret before this segment, but I wasn't really intending on getting one, so I think that about wraps up the speedrun. I mean, other than the grooming claims that I will address later after the Cine Bear 03 stuff. Anyway, with that being said, let's go into part 2 with Birdie's life story in the video I'm Back.
Fuck work anyways, it's not like I'm physically or mentally capable enough to uphold a job in the first place. Fuck capitalism, fuck the public school system, fuck ableism.
The first major topic that Birdie addresses in his 2-hour-long video is the supposed abuse that his family had done to him.
Originally, I was gonna mention here how abusive my parents have been to me my whole life, but due to recent events, I've come to find that my whole family is abusive, not just my parents, and I'd like to talk about it.
Why?
Well, with the exception of my siblings, of
I'm just taking a guess here, by preparing you to have a real job where you're not fucking doing oral sex on a ferret and putting that out into the world. Just a guess, Let's hope that isn't going to be the case. Just preparing your child to live outside of your care.
I'm talking about my grandparents.
Okay, well, what have they actually done to be abusive, though?
My parents are very abusive. I'll give some examples in a little bit, but first, let me put this into perspective for you. They are conservative Trump supporters. They are racist, sexist, transphobic, homophobic, anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers, conspiracy theorists, hardcore Christians. They're literally in a cult, and they have 6 kids, not including me. They have emotionally, verbally, sexually, and physically abused me for my whole life, as well as neglecting me. And I can say that my siblings have endured similar treatment.
Well, what the fuck? Why not just open with that? If Birdie's own parents emotionally, physically, or even sexually abused him as a child, would that not be enough to single-handedly classify them as abusive? Why attach a bunch of terms that have more to do with politics or ideology? Sure,
Question. Okay. The assumption. He went over this sort of call. I don't know if that was with the mother or the grandparents. Again, like Chris Chan sort of gene seems to, the parents suck, so they have to go live with the grandparents, so that could have been the case there. Hopefully, yeah, everyone knows Chris Chan. I'm not going into the details. You already have an example of something crazy she did. Why give her the grace? Him, sorry, fucking Jack. He, him. Sorry. Not intentional. Birdie. He, him. I'm gonna drill that into my brain. Okay? I'm gonna make mistakes. Fuck off.
I wouldn't agree with their beliefs, or in having 7 fucking children, but that doesn't necessarily classify them as abusive. Oh, hi, Nugget.
Yeah,
but it's not exactly evidence of abusive behavior, and if anything, attempting to classify as such just weakens Birdie's argument. Anyway, Birdie goes on to state this about their alleged emotional abuse.
One day, my parents literally swarmed me in the basement, so I hid in my room, and they screamed through the door for about an hour or more about how I'm lazy and faking depression to quote-unquote be a victim or whatever. They cut off my internet directly afterwards and they refused to bring it back. This happened when I was 14 too, except when I was 14 I ended up having a psychotic break that lasted for months, and the Wi-Fi being out was most of the reason for it. So, back then I obviously didn't want to have a psychotic break again, and I had nothing else to live for aside from the internet, so I attempted suicide. I told my parents I needed to go to the hospital because I thought I was bleeding out, when I was actually fine. And they refused to give me medical attention, and they laughed at me and even threatened to call the police because I was quote-unquote threatening them to take me to the hospital.
Seriously, they would go to jail if they got the police. Okay? Let them call them. What do you have to hide, okay? Let them do it. You're 14.
Next day, I heard my mom on the phone gossiping to her friends about how I attempted suicide and how stupid I was for doing it, and then treated my dad like a hero for refusing to take me to the hospital.
Didn't she just admit that she wasn't really bleeding out? Just this hurt in my head. Let me stop with some of the commentary and let it go.
Hospital.
Oh my god, what the fuck? This is giving me a headache. Remember when I mentioned at the beginning
the
concept of what unrestricted internet access does to a motherfucker? The entire 2-hour-long video is like this, by the way. There is just so much information to pass through being dumped on you at every turn that I'm gonna have to skip over a bunch of the less important shit, else risk a video the length of the Mr. T Lexify one. What I'm gathering from Birdie's description of the situation is that Birdie's parents were frustrated with the lack of action from Birdie in securing his future. So they turned the internet off after an argument, which subsequently led to Birdie suicide baiting with the claim that he didn't want to re-trigger his psychosis due to lack of internet access. Yeah, sure, if what Birdie is stating is true, it is pretty horrible of his parents to claim that he was just faking his depression as an excuse for his laziness. What are you fucking doing? And they probably should not have screamed at him, but overall, this entire situation is a pretty common dynamic between parents and children. I'm sure you or someone you know has been involved in a similar argument with a parental figure that may have even led to someone's internet being turned off. One thing I'm hoping you can't relate to, though, is the part where someone cuts themselves and begs to go to hospital. At risk of sounding like a jackass, Birdie is very clearly still alive and well making this video, so maybe Birdie's dad was onto something by refusing to take him to the hospital.
I told my parents I needed to go to the hospital because I thought I was bleeding out when I was actually fine.
I mean, it's not like he went and cut Birdie. It is kind of obnoxious to self-inflict harm and then expect someone to take the time out of the day to take you to the hospital. Additionally, I have to wonder how many times Birdie's parents experienced suicide baiting from Birdie, considering they supposedly immediately refused to take him to get medical treatment, yet apparently cared enough to get mad at him for being lazy. They do have 7 kids after all, and as far as I'm concerned, none of those are dead, so it's not exactly like that.
Okay, pet peeve real quick. Calling it suicide baiting seems a little odd. Okay, pet peeve.
They're just letting the kids off themselves with no concern for their well-being. This notably isn't the only instance of Birdie suicide baiting specifically his own parents mentioned within this video. There is also this.
There are 2 live stream clips from 2017 of me threatening suicide to my dad, and another of my mom confronting me for giving out my address. I'm not gonna play either of these clips because they were of me as a child being put in abusive situations and having an emotional response.
Okay, I spoke too soon. Yeah, that does sound like suicide baiting when they're presenting it to their parasocial relationship. My bad. And saying these are fucking instances of abuse makes any sort of claims of abuse from Birdie seems even more ridiculously.
So they're deeply triggering for me.
Oh,
yeah, I understand.
And here's that audio he doesn't want to play.
You need to go to bed.
Well, maybe if I had my computer in my room.
It's not gonna happen, and we could still hear you upstairs.
Well, can you, like, not come in here because you're gonna cause drama?
You can be on if you're
drama?
talking during the day, but not at night. It's 3 in the morning now.
Oh, it's not?
Yes, it is. It's 2:45, it's 3 in the morning. I can control the time.
Dad, stop! You're gonna make someone hate me!
Well, it would be fine because you won't be on the internet after you fall in all direction.
If you cut off the internet, I'm gonna kill myself. You know that.
What
Based
the
on the fact
hell?
that it was live streamed, and Birdie described the last suicide baiting incident to have happened after the Wi-Fi was turned off. It's my impression that these are 2 different incidents, although the description from Birdie sounds so remarkably similar that I'm not 100% sure. If I am correct though, then that means
Makes
Birdie
sense.
suicide baited his own parents over them turning the Wi-Fi off at minimum twice now, which he does somewhat acknowledge, although of course simultaneously attempts to justify it.
I just want to say it was not okay for me to threaten suicide to my dad.
Oh, okay.
Nobody should ever do this as a tactic to get what they want, and although it took several years, I've recently grown out of this behavior. But I want everybody to understand, I was 12 years old. I was a child, and my parents did not love me.
What?
They never paid attention to me, and I learned that the only way they would take me seriously is if I threatened suicide.
Excuse it.
This came from a genuine place of suicidal ideation too, so it never came across as a manipulation tactic to me until I took my hiatus and thought about my actions throughout my life. Another thing to consider is that I have BPD, and one of the symptoms of my disorder is literally suicidal threats and gestures along with self-harm. This is a facet of my disorder, but I've gotten much better at not having suicidal outbursts. And I can admit that although I've improved, I still feel suicidal at times, but I try to express it in a manner that does not come across as manipulative. The reason I told my dad I was gonna kill myself was because I was live streaming at 3 a.m. and I didn't realize this was something I wasn't supposed to do, so my dad walked in and told me to stop, and I said I would. He came back later on because I was taking too long and told me he was gonna cut off the Wi-Fi, and I misinterpreted what he said and I believed he was gonna cut off my internet access forever, and I told him if he did that, I would kill myself. I didn't want to be alive if my escapism was taken away, so I lashed out.
Oh yeah, grown out of suicide baiting, like it's an old set of clothes.
I didn't mute during either of these live streams because I was caught up in the moment and I wanted people to sympathize with me. I truly believed that if people saw my emotional responses to these situations that I would be pitied, which is something that I always confused for love. It really is my fault that I decided not to mute the live stream, but at this age, I didn't have the capacity to understand what happens when you put out personal things online. This is a concept I didn't even understand.
Yeah, I think the parents' mistake is more just letting you live stream, doing all this shit online. They should have stopped you after the first time. And maybe this was the first time they noticed there was a problem. I don't know. So much shit is out. That's all I'm gonna say. Sheesh.
And until recently.
Yeah, I don't know if you figured that out yet, buddy. Let's get back to Birdie's retelling of his life story, shall we?
I found loopholes to get my internet back in 2022 without my parents' knowledge, of course. But with my internet taken away, I quickly began to realize the extent of my parents' abuse, and I realized I needed to get away from them as soon as possible. But I was only 16 and I didn't have any friends IRL, so there was nobody to save me.
Yeah, there's
Eventually,
a problem with
an
that.
online friend, who I will not be naming here, got in contact with me and offered me a safe place to stay. The issue with this is he lived all the way in Maryland and I lived in Washington State, so I would need to prepare to move cross-country. I waited until I turned 18 and I prepared for over a year, all while hiding my plans from my parents. I relied on this guy for my own safety, and he began to emotionally abuse me as well. He became my favorite person, because guess what? I have borderline personality disorder, which I will talk about more later, which quickly worsened our unhealthy relationship. As soon as I had plans ready to purchase a plane ticket, he blocked me, leaving me back at square one, stuck in my abusive household with my parents and with no support system at all. He intended to let me stay at his mom's house, and I was under the impression that she knew I would be coming and that she was allowing me to stay there. I learned after the fact that this guy had lied to me and that his mom had no idea about our plans. Like, she just thought that I was coming to visit, not that I was gonna live there.
Although Birdie's retelling of the story does come off as extremely uncharitable, this is an instance where the other party involved, the so-called Maryland dude, has actually come out with his own perspective, which I will address later.
Also, another really weird thing that this guy did is that he kept bribing me with gifts. Like, according to him, he spent either $200 to $400 on gifts from me from, like, Amazon that he planned to give to me when I arrived at his house. And, like, even weirder, I have proof that these gifts were real. He ended up sending, like, 3 of them to me in the mail. And he would hold these gifts over my head constantly to, like, manipulate me. Like,
Where's the example of this? Who's this Maryland guy? How, obviously, he lives at home. Were they younger? Were they older? This seems really weird. What's this? I'll figure this out. It's just, we don't know. These gifts, these are things.
Like, whenever I did something that he didn't like, he would try to control me by being like, dude, I spent like $300 on gifts for you and you're...
Yeah, I would like evidence of this. This is just really weird. Just with with these sort of people, just take it with a grain of salt. Sheesh.
You're gonna act like this? You're such a bad friend. And like, he would keep increasing the price every time he like used this tactic. Like, it started out as like, I spent $200 on you, and then it went up to like $400. So honestly, I don't know how much he spent on those gifts.
Yeah, I mean, with that description, this dude does sound pretty wretched. Holding a gift above someone's head is gross. However, what mistreatment?
If he actually did that. We don't know. We have an unreliable narrator in Birdie.
from Birdie was he referring to that Birdie conveniently left out of the story? It might explain why he blocked Birdie the moment that Birdie bought a plane ticket. There is no indication that this Maryland dude knew that Birdie would be buying a plane ticket that day. Yeah, I would probably block some delusional abusive freak too if they suddenly decided to enact years-old plans of flying to my house and living there. Also, what the fuck is this guy Keemstar when he was reporting on Pyro's 16, 15, 14-year-old French girl? Why does he keep changing the numbers spent on gifts? With how uncharitably Birdie has been.
Well, he could have bought something, then bought more. Or she could be full of shit and she could be accelerating and attributed into him. Or he could be just as manipulative as she is. Sorry, Jax, they.
So far while describing these stories, I wouldn't be shocked if it's just because he had actually spent more each time he mentioned the number.
Yeah,
After all,
thank
there
you.
Are 3 different gifts sent to Birdie, and there are 3 different figures
brings that
mentioned. By the way, just to be clear, I haven't actually read the Maryland dude's perspective as of writing this part of the video. This is all just my opinion and perspective gathered from what Birdie has supplied us with in terms of information. The only reason I knew that the Maryland dude had come out with his own perspective, which later led to me finding it, is because Birdie put this in their video.
Meanwhile, as I was dealing with all this, the Maryland dude from before started harassing me privately and leaking my artwork and events publicly and claiming I abused him, which led to a resurgence in Birdie drama despite me being on hiatus and also still healing from what this guy did to me.
Oh, and as a final note on this Maryland dude saga for now, at least until I address his side of the story. Of course this Birdie fucker had to start using psych terms.
I never asked for any of the gifts. He just decided to love bomb me with them and I couldn't do anything because holy shit, that's a lot of money to spend on like a manipulation tactic. If I'm being honest, that's what it is. Like, holy moly.
I have a personal beef with whoever unleashed the word love bomb on the internet.
So, now it's the beginning of 2023. I ended up moving 4 times in just this year, and I endured so much abuse, which I will elaborate on shortly. I got back on my feet quickly, and I prepared to complete my GED so I could get a job and afford to move out. Despite the significant progress I was making, my parents kicked me out very soon after I turned 18 with the intention of leaving me homeless on the streets.
Interesting that he noted, despite making significant progress on my GED. I'm beginning to get the impression that the aforementioned laziness that Birdie's parents were frustrated with was based around a lack of progress from Birdie on his GED. Also, what does he mean his parents kicked him out with the intention of making him homeless? Yeah, sure, I would agree that 18 is a very young age to be kicked out of the house. Nor do I believe that it would be particularly effective at giving Birdie the kick he needs to get his life in order and finish his GED. However, as Birdie will establish momentarily,
yeah, maybe Chris, he's leaving a lot of stuff for the future. It's really fucking annoying. I just want to point out, Birdie was talking about moving out to live with this Maryland guy at 18, when she turned 18 already. Just pointing that out. It seemed like she made plans to get out on her own at 18. So, grain of salt, unreliable narrator, maybe he'll go through.
He had other options for housing, and I don't doubt that his parents were aware of that considering who the housing is coming from.
Okay,
The day I was kicked out, I went to my grandma's house, and she allowed me to stay there and eventually decided that she would house me until I could afford to move out.
Wait, that grandma you labeled as abusive at the beginning of the video? Well, let's hear it then.
Issues began to arise when she expected me to wake up early to go to school 3 days a week and work on math at home for an hour every day, as well as getting to all my appointments by myself. Which I know it sounds ridiculous that this is where I began to suffer, but I dropped out of school in 9th grade and I have super autism. There's also the fact that I can't drive, so I would have to take public transportation to these education programs and wherever else every time I needed to go, and it was a 15-minute walk to the bus stop every day.
Do I even need to say anything here? The next 5 minutes is Birdie bitching about how putting a disabled person through schooling without one-on-one tutoring is abusive or something, and also makes this goofy-ass claim.
It was...
Maybe they didn't have the money to do this. Is this the parents or the grandparents? Okay, the parents were Christian supposedly with 6 other children. Children fucking make you fucking poor, having sex. Yeah, the parents probably would sound irresponsible, but I'm starting to think unreliable narrator. Yeah, I'm not thinking that they're the worst. Also, I don't assume because someone's conservative and Christian that they're automatically abusive when certain people will.
It's the middle of summer and I didn't have any cool clothes thanks to my parents' neglect.
You did have clothes though, right? No significant damage to them? You know, I'm just checking because I don't think whether or not the clothes were cool dictates whether or not your parents were neglectful. This is just conjecture, as is a lot of this segment to do with Birdie's family. I wonder why. We only have one side of the story. But it seems more like Birdie's fault that his clothing wasn't cool enough. The clothing Birdie is drawn to demonstrate the supposed outfit of neglect is black shorts, black t-shirt, black headphones, and black wristbands. If this drawing is at all accurate to the clothing that he was supposedly wearing at the time, I don't think it's...
My parents wouldn't buy me overpriced items at Hot Topic so the other kids made fun of me. Or something like that. This is just fucked. Fucked all around.
Too much of a stretch to say that Birdie chose the fucking black clothing, considering it's one of his 3 favorite colors, and the drawing that he has representing current day him is also wearing black. Secondly, take the fucking wristbands off, mate, and while you're at it, the headphones too. The headphones are just gonna trap heat that would be escaping from your head. Thirdly, I don't think I've ever worn fucking shorts in my life, so Birdie is actually ahead of me in this part of the meta. And as far as I'm concerned, the US is nowhere near as humid as New Zealand, so I don't know what the fuck he's complaining about. Anyway, Birdie goes on to give the namesake for this chapter.
Fuck work anyways, it's not like I'm physically or mentally capable enough to uphold a job in the first place. Fuck capitalism, fuck the public school system, fuck ableism.
Oh yeah, so incapable you have a 115k subscriber channel in which numerous reasonably high effort animations are posted. What about this very fucking video, the 2-hour-long trauma dump? All of it drawn, written, animated, and edited by you, Birdie. Birdie is capable enough to write numerous long-winded vents on Tumblr which have repeatedly gotten him in hot water. Wait a second, bring that ramble back up. He mentioned the Maryland dude in it. Okay, so this is a Tumblr post that is in response to a question about BPD, and while that is what the majority of the post addresses, Birdie also elaborates, stating that around the time that he lost internet access, he began thinking that he had BPD, which he brought up to his mother, who shot the claim down. Upon getting access to the internet again, without his parents' knowledge, as Birdie keeps clarifying, he also got in contact with the Maryland dude, who forced the BPD label onto Birdie as a way of explaining his abusive behavior. This claim was followed by some bracketed text which stated that the Maryland dude...
What? They forced the medical diagnosis. Was this Maryland dude also a psychologist? Even a law student? I don't know, he lived with his parents obviously, it seems.
Was the one who was actually abusing and gaslighting Birdie into believing that he had a victim complex, and it wasn't actually the other way around, which... Holy shit, the first usage of a psych term I might actually agree with.
Probably.
No, not the gaslighting claim from Birdie, the victim complex claim from the Maryland dude. Also, despite the fact that Birdie alleged the Maryland dude had forced the BPD label onto him, Birdie did actually end up being diagnosed with BPD in 2023 by a psychiatrist, which he even acknowledges in the same Tumblr post. It seems as if the Maryland dude sure as shit had Birdie figured out in at least this regard. Now, as previously mentioned, the Maryland dude did actually come out with his own perspective on the story, and that was on Twitter with notably substantially more evidence than Birdie. To start off, the Maryland dude, aka Reef.
Nice, more evidence. Okay, try to get me stranded in the middle of the country. Okay, I was 17 in junior high and high school, my bad. How old was Birdie at this time? I think Birdie was older. I don't even fucking know. The age.
Claimed that Birdie was most definitely the one who was at fault. One example of how would be when Refix attempted to distance himself from Birdie due to his increasingly deranged behavior. Birdie threatened to kill himself and sent a photo with cuts in his arms and proceeded to label Refix as abusive.
Lovely.
This is supposedly displayed.
Yeah, I don't think any abusive claim from Birdie really actually matters.
Through this discussion afterwards. Refix additionally clarified that the primary reason he ended up blocking Birdie, preventing Birdie from coming to his house in Maryland, was because Birdie had allegedly threatened to kill Refix behind his back. So yes, Birdie seemingly completely lied about Refix.
Hold on. I was trying to help you escape your household and made threats to kill me behind my back before love bombing me in reinsurance. You sent me a 30K Word document about how inflated you were with me, then accusing me of being abusive when I left. Right, stop fucking ignoring me, fuck you. Plankton voice, I will destroy you, I'll die. Why are you ignoring me? I thought you cared about me, I hate you, fuck you. Fuck you, Vinny. Fucking hell. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why? Why are you trying to goddamn... So I'm gonna... Well, fuck. The Plankton voice is the weird thing. Oh god.
Threatened to kill Refix behind his back. So yes, Birdie seemingly completely lied about Refix, a person who merely attempted to help Birdie by offering him housing, subsequently labeling him as abusive and driving him to pull out mountains of hair from stress. Anyway, back to Birdie's trauma dump, because he starts talking about grandma now and how she was supposedly abusive.
I texted my grandma one day to ask if I could have some food in her house that I knew nobody was eating, and she got mad at me and told me not to blow up her phone asking for help ever again.
What? You can't just say that and expect me to believe you when you're showing fucking contradictory evidence on screen. Birdie's
Yeah. Some people you just flash on the screen, people aren't gonna actually look at it. Could I have a chocolate chip Cliff Bar and the water seasoning? I'll bring that stuff for you and your blanket flag, blah blah blah. I didn't realize, but here's all the proof I have. Interaction. Oh, it happened at a different interaction where she actually did it. We're such horrible people, Crust Lord, that we don't find this so great.
Supposedly abusive grandma is just being extraordinarily sweet in these texts, talking about dropping off supplies like food or a blanket. The cognitive dissonance of Birdie describing how horrible his grandma was and how his grandma was blowing up his phone when this is on the screen. It's just fucking absurd to me and does imply that Birdie has provided an extraordinarily biased account of his relationship with his grandma. That's also why I'm so questionable of Birdie's entire trauma dump, because other than some worthless photos of some random gifts he received from the Maryland dude and a screenshot of another set of texts with grandma, these texts are the only piece of evidence that Birdie provides for his claims of being abused by his family, and it's completely fucking contradictory to his story. Regardless, here is Birdie to elaborate on his homelessness.
So now I had to go to a homeless shelter. It wasn't a regular homeless shelter though, it was a homeless shelter / mentoring program, which basically means that it's a homeless shelter except with responsibilities, and the owner basically chooses your life path for you, with the threat of sending you to a lesser homeless shelter if you didn't follow through with the goals he set up for you. Perfect environment for an abused, burnt out, mentally ill, paranoid dude, right? So this all went about as well for me as you could guess. I was surrounded by other homeless people with no privacy. I was too paranoid to go outside, and I barely had any money, so I couldn't get myself groceries, and I basically began to starve. Most days, all I ate was a granola bar or two, and some days I didn't even eat at all. I stopped showering because the living space was so dirty that I didn't feel clean after showering anymore. I was in an unsafe area. People would pizza bomb the place and there would be police outside with loaded rifles, and literally everybody would laugh it off while I hid in my room and had a panic attack. One day I got too scared to drink the water because of how dirty the sink was, and I came dangerously close to passing out due to dehydration. I began to lose weight I didn't want to lose due to the lack of food. I was barely sleeping, too.
That sounds like a tutoring program mixed with a boarding house. I mean, there's also this text from Birdie's grandma, which I'll expand upon later, in which Birdie's grandma explicitly refers to staying at the shelter as not being homeless. To be fair, that could just be referring to the fact that Birdie would at least have a roof over his head, but regardless. Conjecture warning, but this sounds like a program that you would need to fill out paperwork for, which, when considering Birdie said this,
that I needed somewhere to stay where I had a basic level of assistance, because on my own I would...
Yes, this does sound that way.
literally starved to death, and my mom told me it would be fine and that her and my grandma would help me get groceries and get to my appointments. Where was that kind of help I needed a few months ago?
And he's also previously described those family members as transphobic. Wow, why is this relevant, you may be wondering?
This isn't even mentioning the transphobia I experienced at the shelter. Literally everybody there would keep misgendering me, including my lesbian roommate. Like, dude, you're LGBTQ, you should know better. The owner introduced me to everyone with my dead name behind my back for literally no reason. Like, there wasn't even a legal reason for him to do this.
The reason I say this segment is conjecture is because there isn't evidence that there was any paperwork involved. However, if there was, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to assume that it was Birdie's family that filled it out. And considering they're supposedly transphobic, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that they would have put his birth gender on there and not his transition gender. So despite saying that there was no legal reason for it, I can definitely envision there being one.
On my last day there, the owner admitted he called me Jack instead of using my pronouns because, quote, it's annoying how often trans people change their...
Oh, this is absolutely true. Using someone's name instead of pronouns. Because your brain sees a female, hears a female, you naturally want to fucking say she. Using the name for that person, smart. It's a brain. It's not transphobic. It's just, if you're not passing, you gotta accept some misgendering. Sorry, dude. G'day.
Pronouns, and it's too hard to keep track of. And then he proceeded to mansplain the concept of transphobia to me, and that some...
You're both men. How is a man mansplaining to another man? Very interesting.
Some people may not agree with...
Sorry, eternal misogyny of Birdie/Jack here, obviously.
Your lifestyle, and you just have to let those people misgender you. And I had to agree with him because I didn't want to be the annoying tranny who stands up for his own rights, because that would have pissed him off for sure.
To be clear, because it's important to establish for this next segment, Birdie is a trans man who was born as a woman. With that established, yes, obviously, that would suck if the shelter management and residents were intentionally dead naming and misgendering Birdie. However,
Yes, however, assuming Birdie is telling the truth, would be a mistake at this point, it seems like.
How uncharitable...
Yeah, or exaggerated things.
His retelling of the story has been, especially in regards to his grandmother, and dubious of the claim's validity. Also, even in Birdie's description of his interaction with the shelter manager, other than maybe the comment about how annoying it is to keep up with people's updated pronouns, the shelter manager sounded relatively reasonable. I mean, yeah, it is just unfortunately a fact of life that people will not agree with Birdie's lifestyle and as a result will intentionally misgender him. And that's just something he has to put up with.
You're assuming it's intentional. Okay, you can't assume that. People work. Yeah, I said all that shit.
Or risk other consequences for reacting. Additionally, Birdie did put this text on screen which claimed his grandma told him that they put him in a girls' dorm in order to not make the boys uncomfortable. So clearly his family was at least aware of the situation. Regardless, Birdie goes on to talk about his escape, if you will, from the homeless shelter.
I was completely alone and I was seething with rage. I knew I needed to get the hell out of that place before I ended up killing myself, so I contacted my Nana. I told her about my situation and she offered to come pick me up. I arranged for her and her husband to come pick me up and house me, and I didn't tell anybody in my family or anybody at the shelter until the day before she was showing up, because I knew they would try to keep me at the shelter. Of course, when I told the rest of my family, they were pissed. So my Nana arrived and I got the hell out of there.
Oh, isn't the Nana so abusive? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, God, let me get to this part. I hope he fucking covers the... I mean, all this is good to know. I don't want to steal. Probably going to make this video unlisted, the stream unlisted right away. But who the fuck cares? Okay, let's just... This might be getting into it. Let's go.
Whatever reason, also states that he has accommodation from CineBear03, who he also reached out to around the time.
I got so desperate I texted my mom and my grandma for help. And my grandma told me that it was my fault for being kicked out again and yada yada, and to call the owner of the shelter so I could go back. My mom told me to go back to the shelter too. I told them both why that wasn't an option and that I needed somewhere to stay where I had a basic level of assistance because on my own I would literally starve to death, and my mom told me it would be fine and that her and my grandma would help me get groceries and get to my appointments. Where was that kind of help I needed a few months ago? What are the We had a nice road trip. We were in the car for about 2 days. We snuggled up under some blankets and watched YouTube videos, ate snacks, listened to music, talked about things, and took naps on each other. We were homeless for a few days, but her friend provided us a place to sleep until we could move into our apartment. And now we're here. We have our own place, and we're happy. Not once in my entire life did I ever think I would have a future like this. Like, up until now, I had never been in a safe environment, so I had no concept of that ever becoming a reality. I fantasized about a future like this since I was very little, and now I'm here. I'm still mentally ill, I'm still struggling, I'm still healing from my past, but I'm happy and I'm safe, and I have a chance at life. I've never had that before, and I never could have done that without Cinny.
Wow, what a cute story. I'm sure this happiness will last forever.
I've been an irresponsible content creator, and I've been acting inappropriately towards my fans. This alone is enough.
Yeah, good setup, man. Good setup. I like that.
For me to realize I need to make sweeping changes to how I conduct myself and how I interact with my fans. But the most serious thing I've done is I've groomed a minor.
Yeah, I just want to point out there's two parasocial grooming behavior people get together and start living together, and they don't stop each other, be each other's fucking sort of degenerate sort of outlet. So where they have to go online, this seems just weird to me. Why wasn't Birdie there for Cindy and Cindy there? Well, obviously, I have no fucking clue. I'm just pointing that out. Like, why did fucking Sydney need to go to this other weirdo on the internet? Younger weirdo, sorry, on the internet. And that's probably wrong. That's wrong. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. If you want to share this shit, why wasn't Birdie there? Be like, oh, here's my very degenerate thing I want to share with you. Was Birdie like, oh, I don't want to listen? I'm just trying to understand the psychology of these people. It's insane. That's it.
I became friends with a 14-year-old after I made a mental note to myself to not become friends with minors again.
Yeah, so as established, I already have a video covering the CineBear03 allegations, but if you haven't seen it and need some context, let's just say it's a pretty open and shut case.
Yeah, I saw it. It seems really sus. Open and shut about the grooming? Probably. Very good case. You don't have the sort of intent there that they didn't have the intent. It's about it. The behavior is completely groomerish. I want to call it goonerish. But groomerish? Yeah, okay. I'm just wondering, why didn't fucking Birdie help her through this? I mean, it's just... Oh god, it hurts. And the fact that someone like seemed to have made friends with Sydney to sort of entrap her, just... I'm not putting any doubt on fucking Inno or any of the other grooming claims, but that's a really weird case. That's a really weird case that I found something that made me wonder about that. The rest, I don't know. It's crazy crap. Okay.
Essentially,
Internet is a mistake for minors. Anyone who are minors, just stay off of it. Don't get involved with these communities. Fucking hell.
Bear was exposed for sending art that depicted gore, fetish content, and rape to minors, and ended up admitting to it in a video that was later taken down. speaking of taking down videos, while I was working on this video, Cinebear privated her entire catalog, which resulted in one of the largest viewership count decreases I've ever seen on YouTube. But anyway, there were notably 2 Google documents that outlined allegations against Cinebear that were released in September of 2024. Birdie releases video, "My roommate groomed a 14-year-old, I need help," the same day that the second document written by Eno was released, or more specifically, September 15th. The video has a bit of an entertaining beginning, I cannot lie.
Okay, I have to be kind of quiet because Cindy is in the other room because she called in sick from work today. But let me pull up my script.
This motherfucker is making his expose on Cinebear while she is in the next room. I cannot help but find that fucking hilarious. Could he not wait until tomorrow or the day after or what? I mean, he calls it an emergency to make the video, but I do not understand why you would rush something like this. The internet would not have noticed if Birdie had released his video a day or 2 later, but whatever, it's a minor point. Birdie goes on to provide some context of how they encountered the allegation and additionally clarifies that they condemn Cinebear and don't blindly support her just because they live together. Although notably, Birdie does repeat quite a few times that he doesn't know the extent of Cine's actions. So hey Birdie, maybe you should go watch my last video and then you can come back and watch this one. Birdie then states that he's looking to move out and will begin doing emergency commissions in order to raise money for it. That isn't his only intended method of fund acquisition though.
If you want to help me get to a safe place, I've set up a GoFundMe.
Yeah, this stuff also makes it extremely sus. I can understand why people on the offset in the moment would have thought this was weird. I convinced my fucking roommate that she was a groomer. I didn't do anything to stop them from the grooming. I just let it happen, and when it was found out, I did this GoFundMe. I can see why people just set off alarm bells, but they admitted it to it. The gaslighting Sydney into believing it's groomer. I can understand at the time, for people who didn't go over evidence, why they would have fucking believed that. Oh, this is just so much weird stuff. Again, yeah, this doesn't cover the Birdie's dice bullshit. That's what I'm curious about. Maybe there's not enough information there. I'm gonna have to dig into that my fucking self. I actually reached out to him. I don't know if he'll have any information or will give a damn.
Hope I'm doing
I'm
it
a
right.
no one.
All expenses
In fact,
will go
I'm
towards
beyond
me
a no
moving
one.
to another place.
I'm
Well, I
unwashed.
suppose that's a potential motivation for why Birdie rushed this video out. It seems likely to me that he wanted to capitalize on the recency of the allegation in order to get donations from people who didn't know any better. This campaign ended up raising a total of 11,110 USD. However, I've seen several claims with evidence that the money did not get used as advertised, and instead went towards furthering Birdie's My Little Pony merch collection.
Really?
Okay, buddy. The person who initially...
Was it that bad? They spent it on merch instead of what they... Oh god, even worse than Parlo. Fucking hell.
Made this claim was a Twitter user by the name of Queen, and they're
Yeah,
actually
we don't
the
know
individual who temporarily housed Birdie after...
This is correct. I remember going through a video of this. I went through the doc, okay. Just because I didn't report on it doesn't mean I fucking don't go through this stuff. I swear. That's why I need to do recordings like this. I went through a partial of the docs. I'm like, whoa, this shit is really fucked up. Oh well. Nothing I want to fucking get too involved in. Oh, and Coke Cat followed by Coke Catto. Something's coming up with them that I don't want to get into because it's a shit show. Oh
the release of this video. Temporarily because Birdie got kicked out, of course, which led to Birdie accusing Queen of being a manipulative, abusive hoarder. Of course. Not before Birdie decided to ditch a shitload of his possessions at Queen's house, which seems to be becoming a bit of a signature move at this point. But most notably, those possessions included the ashes of that ferret that he said assaulted and also called his daughter Chara. Now, to be fair, in regards to the GoFundMe claim, Birdie did actually respond with an explanation when he was confronted on it. Well, I say he responded, but the messages claim that it's Birdie's PR responding, which is fucking hilarious to me because that either means that he's lying about having public representation, or he got public representation over people criticizing him online for being a freak. But regardless, this PR.
Or, like many people, they use ChatGTP to sub for representation, like we're finding out a lot of people. Mama Max did that when lawyer. Fucking, I think Smash Take Teacher. Everyone tries to say, oh yeah, I checked the legal stuff. Generally, it's AI summary. I mean, AI summaries can be useful for siphoning through stuff, but like Wikipedia, you want to drill down to make sure what the fucking AI shit gives you is actually somewhat correct.
Claims that Birdie has sat on the GoFundMe cash.
Oh, come on.
It was actually just the money he earned from commissions that he spent on the My Little Pony merch, which I suppose is some semblance of a defense, although I still find it fucking ridiculous considering he's claiming to be flat broke, starving, and at risk of homelessness. But anyway, Birdie continues the video explaining how he intends on escaping from Cinebear's place.
Honestly, I don't even know where I'm gonna go. I don't know what the rest of my life is gonna be. I'm gonna talk to my family later. I highly doubt I'll be able to stay with any of them because, you know.
Big think as to why that would be.
Because you keep on calling them abusive.
Correct, then Birdie basically
everyone around you is abusive,
people,
right?
His own family, of being physically, emotionally, and sexually abusive with his relatively large YouTube platform when, as far as I'm concerned, all these people really did was push Birdie to try and look after himself and not be so reliant on others. Even in the unlikely instance that everything Birdie has claimed about them is correct, why would one, Birdie even want to move back in with them, and two, why would they want to take Birdie back if Birdie has already aired out how horrible they are online, probably for the whole local town to see? That's honestly the main thing. None of these people have online careers. There was no reason for Birdie to make a half-hour-long segment airing out personal family drama, especially when considering the fact that Birdie's old therapist, for example, but additionally his family and friends have found his videos and watched them.
I didn't have anybody IRL to confide in, and even when I did, they would talk about me on the internet or watch videos about me. My own parents did this, which is hilarious. Like, I'm pretty sure they watched Birdie rants together on their TV. This is like cartoon villainy.
I have a personal life and beefs, but you guys sure as shit aren't hearing about it unless it's anecdotally relevant to a point or it somehow comes online, and even then, I'm gonna do my best not to disclose any of the parties involved. I mean, this motherfucking Birdie seemingly accuses.
Also, side note, I love the video games this guy chooses to use as B-roll. You have, I think it's either Fallout 3 and Fallout or Fallout New Vegas for his Cine video, and now, what is this? The original Borderlands? I think it's the original Borderlands. So, base, man, base.
Every single person that comes within a 10-meter radius of him of abuse without evidence. So of course people are going to start poking holes in his story, especially if he starts asking for 10k to solve a problem that he seemingly made for himself. What's pretty absurd is that as far as I'm concerned, Birdie is currently staying with another family member. So genuinely, what did that 11,110 USD go towards other than My Little Pony merch? Because it seemingly wasn't the advertised housing or food, which I would say, if is the case, makes the campaign a scam. Either way, seemingly right before Birdie released his My Roommate Groomed a 14-year-old I Need Help video, he accused Cinebear of sexual assault, which he included the audio of in the video.
This whole thing has made me realize that you have been inappropriate with me too.
Wait, how?
You know how I told you not to like poke me in the butt or like on my crotch, and you still do it?
Oh, Wait, do I do it in the crotch, really?
Like, I don't know, sometimes. You still make jokes about like fingering me and stuff, and you asked me to sit on your face that one time, like, that's not, like, that.
Okay, Let's see if the game comes back up. Only gonna continue a few minutes longer. I just want a record of me actually fucking going over this and investigating. It's gonna be unlisted because it's really a wait. Commentary that I add isn't quite up to snuff, I think.
It's a sexual situation that you were gonna put me in. Like, I consented to it because I didn't know what kind of touching was and wasn't okay.
Jesus
but
Christ, this hurts
now
my
that
head.
I'm putting the pieces together, now that I've stepped back and took in the whole view of the situation, you haven't been treating a lot of people right. Like, your hypersexuality can only go so far. Like, at this point, you're taking advantage of your fans, and you've taken advantage of me, and I'm gonna be honest, Cindy, I don't want to live with you anymore.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I draw a line here. I can't have you doing these things with kids. I can't live with someone who is taking advantage of children. I can't.
I don't want to anymore.
But you still did, and that's the issue. You can't undo this. Like, you have done this with so many people, and it's okay.
No,
it's okay.
This is really fucked up.
However, I do have to point out how convenient this timing from Birdie is. Don't get me wrong, Cinebear is a freak who has sent inappropriate messages to a minor, but if she also sexually assaulted Birdie, why is that only coming out now?
Exactly.
When it's a convenient career move for Birdie.
Also, right when I got finished recording, Cindy.
I don't even think it's a convenient career move because look how it turned out. Okay, it's just a fucking impulsive thing. Oh, how did she not know this was going on? How did fucking Birdie not know this is going on? They lived together. That's what I don't know. I'm sure she's gonna have her excuses, but this didn't happen overnight. It shouldn't have been a surprise. Well, you moved. Oh, fucking hell. I hate this. I hate this.
He said this to me when I went to check Discord, so yeah. But I need to get out of here. I don't feel safe here anymore. The public needs to know this information. This is a public matter, and I'm gonna be the first to voice this publicly because if somebody else went first, everybody would go after me. And don't worry, I am speed running this. I'm going through this as fast as I can just so I can I can get.
He claims that before moving in, Cinebear had. Fuck, this is so deranged. Specifically, Birdie claims that before moving in, Cinebear had sent art of Birdie raping Cinebear to the roommate that Cinebear had before Birdie moved in. Birdie was informed of this by the aforementioned ex-roommate, however, moved in anyway. Look, I'm gonna be real. All of the descriptions of Cinebear sexually assaulting Birdie just sound like awkward sexual encounters in which the lack or presence of consent wasn't made particularly clear to either party. So I find it difficult to definitively state whether there was or wasn't sexual misconduct from Cinebear, at least in regards to
I have
Birdie,
no fucking
obviously.
clue either.
I wouldn't
Okay,
say Cine confessed or anything in the confrontation. She just sounded confused. So I honestly have no opinion on this accusation, especially considering how unreliable of it.
Yeah, this is why the fucking grooming claims for people who just looked at Birdie's video and fucking Cinebear's response would come across as she was gaslit into it. For idiots who don't fucking look into it before they fucking try to make sweeping claims. Fucking morons and
narrator Birdie is. Interestingly, Birdie also stated that Cinebear had met his family, so here's the clip of that.
It took one conversation for my happy ending to just be ripped out from under me. My friendship with Cine was all a lie. The opportunity she gave me, her saving my life, We celebrated Christmas together, we celebrated Thanksgiving together. My whole family treated her like she was part of us. Even my parents. We went on vacation with family in Seattle for 4 days very recently. My grandparents paid to fly me and Cindy out to Seattle, and they don't even know her. They gave her $300 to spend in Seattle, and they didn't even know her. They were so kind and generous to her, and she ended up being a predator. She fucking broke my heart.
Let me remind you that these are the same parents and grandparents who were supposedly abusive. Interesting.
Very good point. Very good point.
How the described demeanor completely changes when it's convenient to Birdie's narrative of Cindy being a horrible person because she was ungrateful to Birdie's extraordinarily generous parents. Also, don't forget that Birdie was saying in the exact same video 10 minutes beforehand that he doubted he would be able to get housing from his family. I mean, I could certainly believe it, although after hearing that they went on vacation with them and Birdie's family was very kind to Birdie and Cindy Bear, who was essentially a stranger to them, well after Birdie had already made their video accusing them of insane shit, it makes me extremely dubious. The next element of the story would be the tweets that came after this video, although I want to show you this clip first.
One time she wanted to find a character AI adjacent thing that let her sext with the AI, and her friends didn't give her anything. One time I was cuddling with her and I was on top of her and we were watching something while she was sexting with the AI. I said something like, "Oh, your heart's beating really fast. You must be scared of whatever we're watching." And she said, "Oh no, it's for another reason." And I had to tell her to stop sexting with the AI while I was there.
Wow, what an exciting and bright future we have for the human race, getting cucked by an AI chatbot. Regardless, like I said, it's about time we...
Yeah, fucking hell. There's degenerates online, then there's this level of degeneracy that makes me press X to doubt. Maybe it's true. Fucking hell. Post-truth reality, folks.
Talk about those tweets.
I have never done anything like what Cindy has.
Same password for all of his accounts, which is a mistake I'm sure some of you watching are guilty of and should probably fix. Shortly after this video, of course. Or not, I don't care. Either way, about an hour or two later, Birdie starts the 6-tweet thread stating that he had the realization he had left his old PC at Cinebear's place. So does that mean Cinebear didn't have his one password and just turned ironic, because I think he misses just about every lesson that show attempted to tell, but regardless. His audience to...
And that's why he chose over...
Cynthia, you're not allowed here.
Okay, this is really fucking weird at the end of the day. There's another
Today
fucking
I'm going to
Birdie.
be discussing a cult of lies, trauma,
Harley,
manipulation,
Harley.
and deception. A cult that was recently joined by Birdie. Over the past few weeks, I've had the displeasure of being informed about this situation multiple times by various different people, and...
You don't know who. Okay, this is the Birdie thing. Okay. I've gone over this. Everyone went on Crash Bandicoot the Worst Troll. Lio had a video. People bring that up. How Lio fucking did that. Surprise, Steve King? I vaguely remember that myself. Okay, here's the one, and I'm gonna close it out afterwards. Might as well get all this on the record, so I don't get accused of... See, this makes me think of Pizza Time Pizza. We are not a cult. That's funny as shit.
You may be asking yourself, what is DICE? DICE is an organization, a safe space for those who don't belong, a cozy environment to meet new friends and others just...
Yeah, this is weird. If this is actually something, it's definitely a thing. Yeah, they went over the popular animator, Birdie. Also, the art in the thumbnail, they used Birdie. Interesting choice. Game and video, Minecraft on Molly Mauer's new Minecraft SMP featuring creators like Ponder Sprocket, Deftly, Boring Oranges, and Streamline Workshops, and more. Interesting way to plug your friends. Probably didn't help them out very much.
Just like you, a family that gives you relentless support and is there...
Dice.org is one of the most notorious cults I think I've seen online, and one of the most interesting subjects I think I've covered.
Who else has covered? I have an Amos video, and I dread actually going over it on stream. I might have to go over it because it's the most recent one, and I'll Amos. Fuck it hell.
On this channel, all surrounding an individual known as Necrophilic and the community they've built around themselves, filled with degenerate actors who indulge in vile, reprehensible activity that, due to its notoriety, I've already covered on the channel before. However, in that video I feel I came off half-cocked. I didn't have all the information I needed to cover the situation, and for that reason I've always thought that video was due a part 2 or a revisiting. So today, I'd like to sit down and reopen a book that I left closed on a certain page quite a while ago. Let's talk about a cult.
Let's see if he follows up much better in this one.
Called Dice, and an artist known as Birdie. To catch you up to speed quickly and introduce you to the pieces on the chessboard as easily as possible, I'm going to split this section in two. The first half will focus on Dice, the organization and self-proclaimed cult behind many of the most nefarious acts in the art community, and how its creator for a long time now has been documented as having a history of nefarious and sometimes criminal deeds. The second half, however, will focus on Birdie, and how Birdie's career as an artist was disrupted by some of their acts on the internet, and how they ultimately ended up involved with said cult. This will make for an interesting tale, but this is going to be a short one. Dice is a cult and subject that's been talked about quite frequently. A lot of people are very aware of this situation, and I think a lot of the actors in this situation need no introduction. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Necrophilic, henceforth known as Mortis, is an individual whose online history dates back to 2018. First appearing as an artist and animator, they were originally involved with a different cult, before ultimately leaving said cult and creating their own, known today as Dice. Dice, on the other hand, really doesn't need any introduction. Regardless, I think it's important to brush over the broad strokes. Dice...
Why does it need no introduction? It's not like truly infamous from my knowledge. I've never heard about it. There doesn't seem to be many YouTube videos on... Or
Dice.org was founded in July of 2020, and initially professed itself as a community or safe space for people that, quote, don't belong. However, the facade surrounding this organization was short-lived, and ultimately the curtain fell away, revealing what this community actually was. The creator of said community, Mortis, has had a long and documented history of motivating other people to commit self-inflicted injuries upon themselves in the name of the Dice cult and for Mortis themselves. I could go over the laundry list of screenshots of Mortis applauding people for committing self-inflicted injuries. I could scream until my voice is hoarse over the fact this Discord server included a chat where people could share images of their self-inflicted injuries. I could draw your attention to the fact that Mortis has willingly admitted to their involvement in illicit ways with an animal in the past. An action and confession that ultimately led to a police...
Something that fucking would put Birdie in line with them. And that's even worse, yeah. Fucking police investigation. This is good, better stuff than the last one.
Investigation resulting in Mortis' devices being seized from their possession. I could even, if I chose, pad this video with evidence showing that this cult has been used multiple times in the past to discriminate against others. What? But I won't. Because while there's no denying that this community has bad actors within it, Mortis is a reprehensible individual who...
Why not? Is there a video that you can link to that has that evidence?
Needs genuine help. Ultimately, this all encompasses a community of children with serious issues that actually need to be addressed and talked about seriously, instead of sensationalized like in a YouTube video I may have made in the past. I feel that was my one failure when I made my previous video on Dice. I made that video more sensationalized and focused on the spectacle surrounding a community.
This almost seems like a soft peddling for this fucking something he's hyping up as a cult. Yes, you want to make sure, get the information out. If it takes sensibilization or whatever the fuck you want to call it, to get word out, people not to join it, that's what you need to do. Or unless you have an egotistical point of view where you...
community of people who engage in degenerate activity, instead of the real issue, which was that there were a ton of people who were engaging in this hateful community, and talking about it in a public video is only going to spread word surrounding this community, feed the creator of this community's desperate need for validation through attention surrounding their name, and drive inquisitive individuals and children looking for a safe space to this community.
If you do a video making them look like the worst place, how would your video have done that? I'm not understanding the logic. The logic does not fucking track here. You give a warning. Oh god, hurts.
Regardless of the risks. Whether you think DICE really is a cult or if it's just a group filled with mentally deranged individuals is a stupid debate surrounding semantics that ultimately only serves to undermine the serious issues here, and really I don't think it's worth a debate. This community still exists several.
It's not worth a debate. Don't you want to know what they truly are? Are they a cult? Or is it just a community where they cause degenerate actions and self-harm? God, this is like talking outside of both sides of your mouth and saying, it's not worth the debate. Who gave you the authority? Oh yeah, he gave himself the... Them gave themselves the authority, okay? Give the information and let the audience decide. You can't do that. You gotta tell the audience what they should think. Sorry, if I sound like I'm being critical, it's just because of Harley's rhetoric or the semantics.
Years after it was first brought to the public's attention, and it shows no signs of ever disappearing. Giving it attention only serves to feed its creator's ego. Unfortunately though, I feel I have to join that discussion one more time to wrap up said situation and highlight how we can do better as creators in the future. Because while I know I was the one who made that video 2 years ago when I talked about this cult for the first time, I mean, I literally remember pressing the upload button on it.
Yeah, I'm not finding many other people talking about this DICE cult or DICE organization. Did you overhype it just because... I'm gonna have to look into it myself. Fucking hell. I can't trust this fucking Harley video. I'll listen to a little bit more.
I feel I barely know the person who made that video and rarely stand by any of the takes I expressed. In fact, I'd be hard-pressed to say I agree with any of the takes I expressed at that time. But I mean, who could blame me?
He's backpedaling. This whole video is a backpedal for some weird reason. Either he was overselling it at the time. I just am confused. I'm confused.
I was an incorrigible kid who, at that point, saw other people talking about something and mindlessly jumped on the subject without ever considering the harm my video may do. But irregardless, as I said at the start of this video, I opened this book. So I think it's my job to close it, and for hopefully the last time, look at this situation from an honest eye. DICE is a genuine problem. A community allowed to thrive that's based on harming yourself for the sake of other people, being involved in constant discussions around death from a young age, having people constantly push into your mind the idea that criminal activities surrounding animals or other people is okay, suggesting the idea of sharing explicit images of oneself regardless of their age. All of said subjects are obviously concerning, and a community that would promote said activity is not one that should be allowed to exist on any platform. If a younger child with a malleable dumb baby brain is allowed to engage in these communities and convinced that the things expressed...
Why are you bringing up all these weird fucking comparisons? Just move on. To your
these
point.
Communities are things that are okay to do.
Yeah, man. Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's a problem. Children should never be allowed to be around discussions like this. And I ultimately think that being around these discussions will have impact on them later into their life. I've been making videos on subjects like this since I was very young. I've been making videos on subjects like this since way before I truly comprehended what a lot of the actual issues were.
Why?
When I just believed something was an issue because someone told me it was, without ever really understanding the depth behind it. I didn't know that at the time, but obviously that's very clear to me now. The fact such gross discussions were ingrained within my life for so long while I was younger, constantly talking about these subjects in every video I made for such a long time, has had serious detrimental impact on my mental health over the time I've been making videos.
This is just like a jerk-off fest. Him talking about how reporting on DICE has affected him and how his... It's like, no shit, Sherlock.
Yes. Normalizing this discussion as if it's normal to constantly think about these things and have to be a moral arbiter from a young age was not good for my mental health. And it...
Yeah, no shit. Why do you keep doing it? Oh, maybe this is excuse for pivoting content. Okay. I'm not gonna watch this. I wanted information on the DICE org cult. Maybe it's a nothing burger. Because you associated Birdie with it. Is this a backpedal? Let me take a look real quick. I just heard in my head. Yeah, I'm gonna have to end the stream. I just want to know. Very interesting. So that's the dice thing. Let's see what direction he's gone in since then. Gonna full screen this. Done with the game. Want to take a look at this real quick. So Dice Cult 2 years ago. So here's his last video. Okay, then he goes into the grooming allegation, calling Sunny V2 transphobic, radicalization, allegations, well, not really. Everyone covered Illuminati. Yeah, nothing about children. A little bit about this. Here's this discussion. Doing it again. Chris Chan, what the hell? Predator. Why backpedal there than make content? I'm it. It's a soft backpedal trying to say, yeah, I shouldn't have talked about this. Hopeless Peaches, which is more drama. And we get all this crap. And we get this fucking thing. Stay out of fucking drama. You were too young when you got into it. Fuck off. Goodbye. Done. So, anyone who wants to... Yeah, I think that's the end of the stream. End of my mental madness. I'm still just as confused. I wanted to get this all down. Just have a chill stream, but the stupidity that come out of some of this stuff just hurts my head. And because of this